Let's try to unmute those things. Yo! After a week of hiatus where Georgia won a national championship, I'm a little still excited about that. I'm sorry. I'm just going to be there for a while. And yo, this guy shows up right on time as we're already live. What's up, Nick? We're killing it on soccer over there tonight. Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody.
You take a week off and it all falls apart. We got stuff to talk about tonight. Nick might be able to speak if he can figure out his headphones. He disappeared. John will have things to say. I will have things to say. Jarrett will allegedly have things to say, probably without video. And Nick probably is still messed up about Milan today. But I don't know. We'll wait to find out about that, because that was a very interesting final goal they conceded in the 96th minute, where they gave up a 3v2 after a set piece, and I'm kind of baffled by all of it. We'll get into other things as well, but we will find out if Nick Leafy has his hearing.
Yes, I do.
Yay! Yay! We figured you were still messed up about the game this afternoon, where you gave up a 3v2 in the 96th minute after your own set piece. I was baffled.
Oh, okay, here we go.
Yeah. So essentially,
Yeah.
I don't know what I can really say about
I mean, it's just one of those things. Like there's kind of some universals when in these situations. Now, it was weird to see Spezia leave three guys up high in that situation. Not normal, not typical. Sometimes you go into autopilot in those moments and you're not used to that. And you leave two back. You normally leave two back because the opposition will often leave one up high to potentially break. You always want one guy to mark, one guy for free cover. You're good. But when you leave two back and the other team leaves three, if they defend the set piece well, then it creates a 3v2. And oh, brother.
There are a lot of problems with this game. First of all, I'm going to start off with the ref decision to not give advantage, and this being the continuing story of this game. I don't care. I don't care. I'm sorry. Look, referees make mistakes. It happens. This isn't Juve. It's not Inter. It's not Atalanta. You should have drilled this team like 3-4-0 and called it good. This should not have even been in this situation. But Milan allowed themselves to get mentally wrecked. They've made a series of mistakes, and they deserve to lose. So if someone disagrees with that, go argue with your mom, because I'm you're talking about the number 2 team in the table. They should be able to. That's right. It's your boy Mo Mozzarella. I mean, look, it is what it is, and Milan deserve to lose this game. If you lose to Spezia 2-1, I don't care if the refs were involved. I don't care if Spezia's water boy came running on the field. I don't care if if somebody crashed a blimp outside. It doesn't matter. You should have.
He wasn't the water boy, but Kevin Agudelo checking into this match. Woo! Colombian, 23 years old, not a player I was familiar with, not all that deep into Spezia's roster, but wow, he came on and changed everything for them. He got the goal, the first goal, and he was just a handful from the minute he came into the match. If you're in MLS, he would have had a secondary assist on the winning goal.
Right. But and again, that's the problem. The problem in that I'm more angry not at the loss, but at the fact that between Milan's fan base and a lot of the media folks are focusing on the ref. Everything's the ref. We can't have this in Serie A. We can't have this kind of a thing. No, I goals change games. I get it, and but it doesn't change the fact Milan lost. There's more than enough talent on this squad that they should have ran Spezia off the field. And yes, the new kid for Spezia is fantastic. They're going to make a fortune off of him. But let's make sure the narrative is right. Spezia won the game. The ref did not hand them the game. There was a bad call made. It should have been level. It was not level. I don't know what to tell you.
These things happen. Should have given advantage. Didn't in the moment. Marco Serra is the referee. He apologized to the whole Milan team, realizing he made a huge mistake. It's huge. I mean, it's a different outcome if that doesn't happen.
Right.
And we do see situations where you get those kinds of swings in games, and you get swings like the missed penalty in the first half as well,
right? Where
you see teams sometimes crumble a little bit. In Milan's case, in the first half, where they bad penalty from Teo Hernandez, they were able to bounce back and get a beautiful goal, a little bit of a fortunate deflection, but what a finish from Rafael Leao.
Yeah, he's been great. The form that he's found lately. One of the things I love about him is his vision to know when he has space to go, and he can calculate very quickly. I've got this guy on skates. Yep. And the minute you could see it, because the minute it happens, this big smile appears on his face, and then he hits the afterburners and he's gone. Rafael Leao has been just, he's rediscovered himself. He's almost like a new signing because of the way that he's found his form as of late, which Milan needs because they're getting ready to go through a bit of an overhaul on the roster. But it doesn't change the fact still Milan lost this game.
Yeah.
If Milan wanted to be at the top of the table, they had a shot, they blew it. And these are the games that when the Scudetto is handed out, that you look back on and say, okay, we could have been in Champions League, but we could have won the Scudetto, but we take advantage of these moments. And where previously, last year, Milan was the winter champions, they coughed that up later on due to injuries and just basic slippages and whatnot. This table's too tight to have slippages right now.
Yeah.
It's the most competitive table in Europe, and you can't have those slippages. You're not Man City. You don't have enough of a cushion where you can roll out Boy Scout Troop 773 and still be good to go. You have to be competitive in every match, and that includes Spezia. So, good on Spezia. Well done.
I mean, look, like the referee decision, if it goes the right way, sure, the momentum of the game changes, the storyline changes, goals change games. We know all that nonsense.
Right.
But let's say that goal's allowed. Let's say everything else finishes up. It's still a point. That point could end up being critical. I mean, it's 50 points for Inter right now through 21 games. They got a game in hand. Milan is through 22. They've got 48. Napoli's through 22. They got 46. Atalanta's on 42. Juve's on 41. That's 9 points for 5 teams. Every point matters.
It is, for all of the grief that Serie A has been handed over the years. I am glad that I finally see a lot of people who had never previously had interest in Serie A are looking at this league now that the Premier League has just gotten so out of hand that it's ridiculous. Yeah, it's over. So, La Liga is just, you can talk about the Clasico all you want, but it's not the same. I mean, Barcelona's sitting in sixth? Real Madrid sitting at the top. It's fun, but it's not like, oh my God, this is amazing. Serie A is the most competitive table in Europe right now. And if you want to see games that are absolutely door-to-door awesome, you have, look no further, Paramount Plus is waiting for you. CBS Sports Network is waiting for you. And it's an absolute riot. I mean, I can't recall a time. I mean, Fiorentina is competitive. My God, we haven't seen this since the Batistuta was playing for them.
And it's not just because Rocco Camiso's yelling at everybody.
Yeah.
No, he's yelling at everyone, too.
He is yelling at everybody, but they're competitive for other reasons.
Yeah.
But yes, he's still yelling at everybody. He's yelling right now. We can hear him.
Yeah, and so Juve, I mean, somehow, some way, they've I don't know if they sacrificed enough chickens or what, but they have somehow managed to escape both the long arm of the law and those people who are trying to keep them down around 7 and 8. And
the Italian tax man might not be done.
no, they're not done.
Just might be quiet right now.
Yeah, the Italian tax man is just being quiet.
Well, let's go through this idea about the competitive leagues in Europe really quick, just to kind of give a snapshot for everybody. Because I know, look, a lot of people have like their league that they follow, and you don't dig into the others quite as much. We try to promote sampling around here. We try to promote, bouncing around, checking different things out. We try to give you stories you can sink your teeth into a little bit. In the Premier League, the story's not who's going to win it anymore, I don't think. I mean, Liverpool's got a game in hand on Manchester City, but they're 11 points back. They win the game in hand. You're talking about 8. That's still needing multiple slip-ups from City that I just don't see happening. This is one of the best teams the Premier League's ever seen as an individual team in a season, let alone like what they've done with 4 titles in 6 years is what you're looking at. It's absurd. And no, it's not all purely down to Manchester City's money, because other teams have money too, and they don't always win. Pep Guardiola is just the best manager there is. I really don't know what else to say about it at this point, because he's shown so many different things. Does he have some advantages to work with? Yeah. But as we've seen plenty of teams with a lot of money, he's had to manage egos. He's had to manage people. He's had to manage playing time for people. He's had to adjust systems and styles of play, and he just does. And he, again, as we always talk about when it comes down to these things, money gives you more outs. But it's not like Liverpool and Chelsea and Manchester United are broke.
No.
No.
And as someone who I love Serie A is my league. It's been my league for a long time. If you've followed the show for since the day that John and Jason were, I don't know, crazy enough to shoot a DM over saying, hey, if you want to talk about this on some night, we could do it. Look, Serie A has been my league, and I've watched what Pep Guardiola has done with La Liga and Bundesliga, and now with the Prem, and he's the best. There's no getting around it. I know Carlo Ancelotti has won numerous Champions Leagues. Arrigo Sacchi won, Scudettos and Champions Leagues, and we've watched great managers. So Alex Ferguson did just unbelievably crazy things with Man United. His greatness has been showcased by what United has been since his absence.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
But I've never seen anyone do what Pep Guardiola has done. Not just from a winning perspective, but he's like soccer's version of the Borg. Like, he shows up to be really nerdy. Your technological and cultural distinctiveness will be added to our own. You will be assimilated. The resistance is futile. And he's going to go in your league. He's going to find what goes well in that league. He's going to take a little bit of it. He's going to add it to what he already knows. And then now he's pretty much this unstoppable war machine. Yep. And
that's the most impressive thing is he didn't go from Barcelona to Bayern and make Bayern play like Barcelona. He took what he believes in the way the game should be played, what he can coach, what he can feel, and he adjusted that to the group at Bayern and the league that Bayern plays in, the Bundesliga. He adjusted all that. Good grief, what a goal from Boca Juniors. Sorry. There's a game on, if you're looking for something to watch on ESPN Plus, in the Football Internacional de Verano, Boca and Colo-Colo. And what a goal, rocket from outside the 18. Pep would have liked it. But then he goes from Bayern to Manchester City, where we know the culture and the game is played a little differently in England. It's not the old school days of purely long ball, but it's a different kind of game than the Bundesliga, a different kind of game than La Liga. And it took him a year, and he figured it out. And he's been able to adjust as that team has changed. I mean, this is a guy, and I think I know this off the top of my head, but if I'm off, I think I'm off by 1. 3 titles in 4 years at Barca, and we're talking league titles because Champions League, and people want to try to take their shots at Pep, and I literally don't know why at this point.
Have fun.
You're just hating.
He's not winning everything.
It's just hating if you're trying to knock the guy at this point. 3 titles in 4 years at Barcelona, league titles, 3 out of 3 with Bayern, and 4 out of 6 if they get this one in the Premier League. There's nobody in the world ever who has done that in 3 different leagues. Like, there's people who have done that in 1 league.
Yeah.
But to do that in 3 different leagues, major leagues, and dominate the way he has. I mean, what they've done in the Premier League over this run since he took over is just there's nothing like it. And it's not purely down to money. And I know, look, that's an easy shot if you want to take something.
It is.
You hate on somebody. That's the easy thing. It's like, oh, he goes to teams with a lot of money. Well, he likes to coach talented players because he likes to let them play and express themselves.
Right.
You know, that's the thing that I love about, I think, what he does and the way he sees the game is ultimately it's about the players. And if you read about him, you see interviews with him, he adjusts. You know, what did he do at Barcelona with that team? Of course, he built it around Messi because he had the most amazing player in the world you could have at that time.
Right.
But he also played a style that suited Xavi and Iniesta and Busquets. And when he added Fabregas, he had 4 central midfielders. And he's like, well, I got to play all 4 because, I mean, look at these guys. I got to play them.
Yeah.
And he found a way to make it work. He went to Bayern. He didn't have that. What did he have at Bayern that was so dangerous? He had Arjen Robben. He had Frank Ribery. Wingers who were amazing. He had Philipp Lahm, who's one of the best players ever. One of the smartest players ever. And he was able to play Lahm like in pretty much any position he wanted to. And he adjusted. They didn't play through the middle in the same way. They did try to build up play, but they didn't play through the middle like Xavi and Iniesta and Busquets and Fabregas. City doesn't play like Barcelona did. They don't really play like Bayern did. They play like this Manchester City team and these individuals play. And look, he's got one of the best players in the world right now in Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, De Bruyne is just an amazing talent.
Right.
And he puts him in positions to be himself.
But he wasn't always viewed that way, though.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't always viewed that way. So
no.
It's not like he walked in and said, okay, you know, you have this just ridiculous, you know, rogues gallery of buffoonish talent. Yeah, you had a lot of talented guys, but there's some people who've developed under Pep's watch who've taken their game to a next level.
What he's done with Phil Foden, and people knocked it so many times, like, oh, you should play him, you should play him. No, I brought him along, and he kept bringing him along, a little more at a time, a little more responsibility. And he's amazing talent.
And I mean, Roberto Mancini had Man City, and he had the money backing of the same money backing that Pep did, right?
Yep.
And I love Roberto Mancini. I love the fact that we got the Euros. You know, we got the hoist of Euro trophy. Sorry, England. You know, we may or may not make the World Cup. That, you know, it is what it is. But you know, what Pep came in and did after Roberto Mancini was ousted is nothing short of insane. And and you know, I think the whole tiki-taka thing sort of gets some people bent out of shape. Look, when he was at Barcelona, they pressed. All right.
Yeah. One thing about tiki-taka really quick. Don't ever, if you ever get a chance to talk to Pep or any of his people, don't say anything about tiki-taka like it's a positive at all. He will go off. He hates that term because it was used in Spain as a negative. It was used negatively. I think here, you know, maybe people don't have the connotation of it and they try to lump it down to like possession play.
Right.
It was basically like passes for no reason. And Pep wants possession and Pep wants to keep the ball. And Pep talks about how like 15 passes and Pep's not the only one. It's just a lot of people who do this kind of play, you know, 15 passes to build up the play properly, to have everybody positioned to be able to press to win the ball back. But he doesn't want 15 passes that are useless.
Yeah. Right.
And that's what he sees. The tiki-taka idea is just to pass for the sake of passing.
Right.
He wants every pass to have a purpose.
Right.
And Spain did that for a minute. Toward the end of
they did. It became defensive. Yeah.
It became pasinacho, which we're just going to pass the ball around ridiculously long periods of time, and we're going to lull you to sleep and bust a quick, you know, attack, you know, thrust toward the goal, and that's going to be the long and short of it. Pep Guardiola is the best manager to do it. and I'll take the Pepsi challenge on it. If Man U fans want to get, but Sir Alex Ferguson, yes, Sir Alex Ferguson,
amazing,
unbelievable. But the one thing we said for a long time about who's the best and why, and one of the great arguments that gets brought in, well, Ronaldo went into all these different leagues and did it. Well, so did Pep Guardiola went to all these different leagues and did it.
Yep.
And he dealt with pressing teams, and he dealt with hyper defensive teams,
counterattacking,
and he dealt with counterattacking teams. Whether they were mid block, low block, it doesn't matter. He figured out how to beat you. And do I like the fact that the best manager of all time currently manages a team in England? No, I don't. But I've got to deal with it, and it's the world that we live in, and it's reality. And for the people, largely Liverpool and Man United fans who go, yeah, but all that money. Yeah, well, you know what? There was a time when Man United had all the money. Mm-hmm. There was a time when
and Alex Ferguson didn't win every year with all that money either.
He didn't, and so
it's hard.
Yes. Do I think he needs to get a Champions League with Man City? Yeah. Do I think it's a must to crown him as the greatest to do it? No.
No, it would crown his time. It'd crown his time at City. Right. It would be the cap to his work at Manchester City, and it's Champions League is a crapshoot. So much of it comes down to the draw. So much of it comes down to individual moments. I think the mark of a great manager is what they do over time, whether that's a season, whether that's over a bulk of seasons, and as we see a lot of managers move club to club every 3-4 seasons or so. It's what they do in that entire run. And, that's just the mark of quality, in my opinion. That's what it comes down to. Brett, who's joining us, good to see you, Brett. Haven't seen you in a minute. Brett says, possession doesn't mean anything, to be honest. It's what you do with it.
Right.
I think possession's almost started to get a bad connotation, and we deal with this here in Atlanta whenever we start talking about when Atlanta has possession, and it's well, what did they do, how many chances did they create? And if you say they created chances, well, how many goals did they score? There's always a way to knock whatever you want to knock. Possession as an ideal, it's how I kind of feel the game. I like my team to have the ball, and the biggest thing it comes down to is it's not just to keep it to do nothing with.
Right.
It's two reasons. If you have the ball, you're going to be in a better chance to create chances, in my opinion, again, with the kind of players I like, the kind of style I like. But you're also going to be in a better position to prevent the other team from scoring if they don't have the ball. Right. So, there's two components to it. And, possession, if it's in a negative sense, yes, it can be a little bit of a bad word. But the idea of having the ball, which is what possession is, isn't a bad thing. It's not bad. It depends on your team. It depends on your group. It depends on your game model, and you're going to base it around that.
Helenio Herrera, who was the godfather of Catenaccio, had to deal with reporters who would come to him and essentially be like, "Why did you create this game-killing, monstrosity?" And he would say, and he was an Inter manager before anybody starts going bonkers. So I'm quoting an Inter manager here. So John, please mark the date and time.
I know it's painful.
7:33.
Oh, God. But he said, and he was right. We were the highest scoring team in the league a couple of years in a row. It is not the system. It is how you utilize it. And there are too many people who are utilizing it just for the raw defensive capabilities.
Right.
And so.
Which is limited. Can it be effective? Sure, but it's limited.
Right. And so I think when we look at what Spain was able to do with a system, a very similar system to Pep's, because remember, Pep did not manage the Spanish national team, but it's largely made up of Barcelona players and a few bit of Real Madrid steel that could facilitate that system with ease. They turned it into this defensive, wicked defensive monstrosity where it was a 1-0 game. Spain had 80% of possession. Yep. And that was the most boring thing on God's creation.
The 2012 Euro, where they were at the end of that golden era, and they were not really built the same way. Fernando Torres wasn't what he used to be by that stage because he'd had the injuries. And it turned into a negative sense to have the ball. You just couldn't get the ball from them. I mean, you just literally couldn't get the ball off of them, and they would keep it. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like you watch that Spain generation, and you go back to 2008 when they won the Euro for the first time in that group. I think they'd won it once before that, and they were incredible. It was beautiful to watch. It was a lot of fun, just amazing stuff. 2010 World Cup, it was kind of in between, but they won the thing. They had some amazing moments in it. By 2012, it had gotten stale with that group. You had a coaching change in all of that early on. You had one person win 2008, then it was a different coach. And that 2012 Euro was not a good Euro because Spain was what Spain was at that time. But it's almost like in the final, they had heard it so much for so long, like, oh, it's boring possession. It's boring possession now, that they turned it loose like one last time. And sorry, Nick, it was against Italy.
I know.
It was an incredible performance from Spain. I know you hate it.
Was.
But
look.
It's like they got ticked off because we're boring. No, we're boring now. Oh, okay. Let's see what you think of this.
But if anyone can understand that, it's me, because Italy performs in the same way. Italy, like in 2006, it was Calciopoli. The Italians can't do anything. They're crooked. They're rotten. And so Italy came in, and and during that World Cup, Fabio Cannavaro would come in and he would play traditional Italian music pregame, and while Pirlo was playing PlayStation and whatnot, or taking a nap, but
or getting stabbed with a fork by Gattuso.
Yeah, and so they made it a culture war and said they are coming for us. They are insulting everything about us, and we're going to run roughshod over everybody, and they did. And then Spain did the exact same thing. And they said, fine, you want to unleash the steamroller at full speed. That's fine. We've been doing this nice, slow, monotonous grind. Now we're going to put nitrous in the steamroller and let it go to work. Great. And that's exactly, and I sat there and watched it. I'm like, yeah, okay. We don't really know what we can do with this. And I was very proud of Italy in that tournament. They had undergone a lot of, there was really a hodgepodge squad that, after the absolute debacle of 2010, I really wasn't expecting much of anything. And for them to come out and make the final and put up the fight that they did for so long was incredible to see. But you weren't good. No,
not on that day. Spain that's one of their best ever performances. And you look back at that team, like they played all on the same field together. Mm-hmm. Like you had the back four, Jordi Alba, Sergio Ramos, Gerard Piqué, Arbeloa, Iker Casillas in goal. They didn't really play with a striker. They played with six midfielders.
Right.
They played with Busquets in the holding role. Mm-hmm. Xabi Alonso, who's one of the most underrated guys. I can't wait to see what he does as a manager now that he's starting to work in second teams and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Xabi Alonso and Xavi. Cesc Fabregas. Andres Iniesta. David Silva. They played a 4-6-0, basically, and scored 4 goals. And they were amazing. And, I mean, it was just one of the most dominant performances. It was honestly like they got pissed off because everybody hated them in that tournament.
It was a live performance of what I had always been told about the Clockwork Orange and the classic Ajax teams. When you would sit down, because like my dad, he plays in he finally, because of I think COVID finally made it happen. He finally started playing with the over 50s, but for as 60 plus year old, he was playing with the over 30s, right? And because he was like the old guys are just too slow, and still sidetrack here. One of the best moments was always telling the team, because I always made sure we never played on the same team, but he would I would tell my teammates, like, look guys, you have to guard the old guy, like mark him tight. And when if he looks like he's gonna run, man, you gotta give yourself about 10 yards lead, because he can jet. Ha 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 ha. Halftime they come up, winded, sweat, like hair soaked down, and I look over at Dad, and Dad's kind of like, I was like, I told him, I don't know, but and you would sit down and talk with. But after the games, we would go. We'd all go and meet up at Churchill's over in East Cobb, and all these old timers. Some of them had played in England, and some of them had played like in the Eredivisie, and they would sit there and talk about the old days and how these teams moved with like it. In such, like it was artistic the way they moved, and it as somebody who didn't see that live, you would be like, okay, sure, yeah, sure thing, old timer, living in those nostalgic days. And they were 100% damn right. That Spanish team, when they got angry, it became something where out of a movie where even the villains have to start applauding. It was like Morris Day in the time watching the kid Prince and the Revolution when Prince decides in the movie Purple Rain, okay, I'm done having it be a movie. Now it's going to be a live concert for the people in the movie theaters. Yeah, and even Morris Day's like,
yeah.
It was that. It was like Italy was Morris Day in the time, and Spain was Prince and the Revolution, and all you could do is sit there and watch them blast through Purple Rain, and then I Would Die for You, and all the way through, and it's just like.
Mm-hmm.
Baby, I'm a Star. They call it Baby, I'm a Star. And it's like, what the hell did we just watch? But Pep was the person who really showed, and I think this is the difference here. Short story long. This is where the difference is, because I heard so many Real Madrid and Jose Mourinho stands say he's the best, he's the best, he's the best. Look where those two men are now, and look at what those two had. Pep showed the world, here's what you can do with possession and pressing and utilizing your talent in unfamiliar positions where you say, I have a midfielder, I'm going to put him on the back line. Well, what? My God. We just didn't have enough defenders. I had to create possession somewhere. We moved this midfielder to the back line. It worked.
Pep's a classic midfielder. He would have a team of 11 midfielders, including one in goal if he could.
Right. But he made everybody sit there and pause and go, okay, wait a minute, how the hell, and rethink the game, not just from a stats and analytics perspective, but from a pure performance and player utilization and just the creative ways of we're going to hyper plan up to this point.
Shows you how far ahead of the curve he is when it comes to all of this stuff.
It's funny. I mean, Jose was right there with him when he first started this. He was right there with him in terms of style. He's right there with him in terms of ability. Mm-hmm. Jose really revolutionized a lot of the way teams train with everything with the ball, and they were of the same school. Jose went down a different road and started being the anti-possession guy and being very clear in saying it. He's like, well, if we have the ball, we have a chance to make a mistake that kills us. And it's like, well, wow, okay, that's a big departure. But he kind of chose the dark side a little bit with the way to go. And as we've talked about before, I think Real Madrid and that whole experience broke him, and I don't think he's been the same since. But
he is not, no.
Before and even through that run, I mean, because he had at least one team in Spain that was amazing with Real Madrid and set records. I mean, he's not a purely defensive manager, but he's went down that road more and more now, and he's become more of a one-trick pony.
Right.
And he's got too into playing the mind games and the silliness and all that. That is a distraction, frankly.
Right.
But you take what he did at Porto, at Chelsea, at Inter, and at Real Madrid, and he could have had this kind of conversation about him.
Yep. And
that run is really impressive.
He's somebody. To me is like I don't think people understand the run at Inter. It wasn't an ugly, monotonous slog. Like Inter played really, really well.
Yeah,
it was painful to watch, but it could have been. It's what could have been. Pep left and like, I'm gonna go chill in New York for a while. I'm gonna go hang out on the Lower East Side.
He needed a break,
and it did him a world of good. And Jose has never really. It's like the villain origin story. It just never really, never really came together. But all of this goes back to stylistically where the game is now. And I don't care if you're, there's a reason why guys like Ralph Rangnick exist now. And that is because there are organizations out there that saw what was happening with teams and managers who were able to start, even if you got like 30% of what Pep was trying to do, you were still doing something that caused a ton of problems for teams with not a lot of talent.
Yep.
And it resulted in these other guys coming up and saying, okay, how do we stop this? We got to figure out a way to we can't drop a low block in front of a goal anymore and have it stop, because these guys are passing, four different dudes in a phone booth. For kids who don't know, there used to be these things that were like a 2-foot
Think
square.
Doctor Who, the thing that they enter in Doctor Who to transport themselves from one place to another.
And for the even younger, imagine like a 2x2 rectangle, right? That stood on its end. That's a phone booth.
That had a phone. That had a thing called a phone.
A phone.
The hell are y'all talking about?
Yeah,
exactly.
And so, but if you are a manager, you're sitting there like, these guys are like passing to each other in like a 3x3 square. We can't do anything about that. It doesn't matter if we put a sweeper in, if we do 2 sweepers, we take a striker out, put 2 sweepers in. It doesn't matter. So what are we gonna do? No, we're just gonna press the hell out of them. We're gonna press the hell out of them, capitalize on mistakes. You had 2 different revolutions start because of a guy like Pep Guardiola. That's how good that guy is. The people who said we're gonna possess the ball, we're gonna move the ball with intent and purpose. And it's going to be, we're going to have a definitive way about how we play. And then you had another group who said, we got to stop this, and we got to stop it in front of their goal, not ours. And so then you had all these pressing guys come up. It's absolutely nuts. It's amazing to see.
It's really interesting when you look at the different kind of ways to do this. And I've said it before. I think you really have to make one decision at the very beginning if you're going to become a coach and you start to go down this road. I mean, you have to be true to how you see the game and how you feel the game. Right. Because if you're not, you're going to get found out. You're not going to be able to truly do it. You're going to be, just transparent. Players aren't going to play for you. I mean, the number one thing for a coach, you have to be able to convince your players of what you're doing.
Yes.
And we see great coaches struggle to do that sometimes. And we see so-so coaches be able to do that sometimes and get incredible results from their team because they convince their players well. But I think you have to make a decision. Like, do you want to play with the ball or do you want to play without the ball? And once you make that decision, then you can go down different roads. I mean, we see somebody like Marcelo Bielsa approach things very differently than Pep Guardiola, but Pep will say that he's learned everything from Bielsa. But their teams do different things. Like Bielsa is somewhere in between, like your Rangnick press and your possession of Pep, because his teams want the ball and they have the ball. And Almeida at San Jose is the same way. Like, huge possession numbers for San Jose, but everybody just talks about the press 1v1 defending everywhere. Right. It's like, well, they have 60% of the ball too, Right. Where then you have the curtains and the Strubers with Red Bulls and Rangnick and all that, where it's, no, we literally don't want the ball. We're going to give up possession to be able to do what we do.
Correct.
And then you have the possession teams that press really well. So like you have all these different elements of it that are, just the way we all see and feel the game and the way you can adapt. There's no one way. Yeah. There's just no one way to play.
See, I grew up being taught that Catenaccio's not an evil thing, right? Like that's like where everyone else grew up with Catenaccio's this terrible, horrible thing. I was the person who was like, I can really see the benefits of this. And, that's why I can identify, though, with what Ralph Rangnick does because it's like the fundamental belief is I don't need the ball to win. That's the philosophy that I grew up with. It's stop the other, where do we? All I'm doing is changing where I want to do my first line of defense. Yeah, I'm wanting to do it up in front of their goal, right? And so that's why I follow who I follow, and that's why I kind of enjoy what I enjoy, versus those who say I enjoy possessing the ball. There's more options, more opportunities. I can control the game. I'm not in a reactionary state. That's great. But if I was coaching a team and I said, hey, guys, we're going to possess the ball, we're going to move, they'd be like, after the first loss or two, I would be found out, like Jason said, because I wouldn't be able to go in front of a whiteboard and explain where things went wrong with any conviction as to where if I were playing either Catenaccio or playing the high press, I'd be like, no, this is where it went wrong and why, and this is what we need to adjust. And I would be able to talk to him with the conviction of a Southern Baptist minister, because it's what I believe in my soul, not necessarily something that somebody said on a YouTube video and it resonates with me.
Right.
What makes Pep and Klopp so impressive to me as coaches, leave the manager side of it, as just coaches,
right,
is that they've been able to stay true to who they are, but adapt to get the results that are needed.
Yes.
Because Klopp today is not what Klopp was when he took over at Liverpool.
Nope.
He's not what he was at Dortmund. And it took him time, but he's done it. And he's still true to himself. He's still true to his game model and the way he sees the game, but he's added to it. Pep has added to it everywhere he's been. That's the hardest thing to do. Because otherwise, if you can't do that, you don't stay somewhere like those two have. You get 3 years somewhere, and then you got to go. And this was something that came up when we talked about Gabriel Heinze and what his time could look like. And, you know, of course, you thought it would go better than it did. And there were things that just never quite clicked with him for probably a variety of reasons. But his style and what he had shown so far in his career, and he's still a very young coach, and I think he has all the materials to be a good one. What he had shown was he wasn't going to adapt. And I think we saw that here. So he wouldn't be somebody who could stay somewhere for multiple cycles of a team. He'd have to go because you can't keep changing the team over to get fresh people in.
Right.
What Pep and Klopp have done, and I absolutely put Jurgen Klopp into this conversation. It's incredibly impressive to be able to do what they've done, adapt, win, but still stay true to who they are.
His path is his journey from like defensive midfielder all the way up to, you know, not even a terrific defensive midfielder, like some defensive midfield legend, like a guy, you know,
who?
Klopp, who who had like just these ideas on the game, and you know, he saw something he liked with how Rangnick did things, and then saw very quickly, here's where I need to make alterations to this if I want to survive and be successful when the team gets tired, when there's schedule congestion, when
the other team sits back,
when the other team hands us the ball and says, do something. You see this with Klopp, you see it with Nagelsmann, you see it with Tommy Tuchel. These guys who took this system and made adjustments. It's if you're a college football fan and you're new to the world of soccer, think of Mike Leach, right? So think Mike Leach, pure I'm going to put on a pirate costume and we're throwing it 97 times a game.
The Iowa Wesleyan bunch with him and Mummy and Holgerson and all that.
Right.
They, how many national titles do they have?
But again, that's the thing.
Conference titles?
Right. That's the whole thing, though.
Blue Bonnet Bowl wins?
That.
Sir, you've gone too far with the Blue Bonnet Bowl.
The Poulan Weed Eater Bowl.
That's it.
But you have guys fans who love how this guy coaches.
Right.
But you have this coaching tree that comes from him. One of the guys is coaching in the NFL now. Why? Why is Cliff Kingsbury coaching in the Arizona Cardinals? Because he figured out, hey, I can do all of this crazy pass wacky stuff, but I can make subtle adjustments.
Yes.
And make the call that, hey, look, it's 3rd and inches. I don't need to execute a 40-yard downfield bomb. I just need to put some big uglies in the game, move the ball 3 inches and get the first down. It's not this religious intent. Rangnick is the religious intent. Mike Leach is religious intent. Coach Paul Johnson, religious intent.
Sure.
But you have these other guys who have, like the coach at Army, who Monken, who I respect the hell out of, who will say, no, okay, now we're going to run the pistol. Now we're going to drop out and go 4 wide, 5 wide. But our base is the veer, the option. But I'm willing to expand the thought process on things. If you're a college football fan, that's the best way I can put it on when you're talking about these guys who view everything through this like religious lens on how I do things versus guys who I'm willing to take and expand and grow and add to this this little arsenal that I have. And Pep is the guy who has taken everything and stuffed it in his bag and said, okay, beat it.
there's a place for all of it. I mean,
There is.
some of those guys are great in smaller mid-table programs that need a
Yes.
hook to
Yep.
get attention.
Yep.
We talked about this with Marcelo Bielsa. Like, I
Yeah.
couldn't see Bielsa really working out at one of the major clubs in the world. I don't think it would work. I think the whole idea, and we talked about it when the hire happened, Ralph Rangnick at Manchester United, it's fascinating once you get past, whether you like the style, don't like the style, whatever, and individual results. Just the idea of having somebody who is that guy, that kind of rigid, this is exactly how I see it, and I will never deviate.
Right.
At a major club where generally the way you win is you have to deviate a little bit.
Right.
And that's why what Klopp and Pep have done is so impressive in England. I can't wait to see how some of this stuff works out. We started this talking, kind of bouncing around the leagues because we were talking about Serie A being the most competitive. John, let me ask you. So the title in England is probably done. It's not completely done. I mean, Liverpool's still going to have a say here. I don't think Chelsea will. 13 points back. I think it's down to Liverpool going on an incredible run, and I just don't see Manchester City dropping the points for that to happen. But okay, whatever. What are the stories there? The two that I see is fourth place will be interesting. The last Champions League spot will be very interesting between a bunch of different teams fighting for it, and the relegation fight because of Newcastle's involvement in it. That's going to be fascinating with, depending on what else they do the rest of this month, you're going to have a lot of storylines between those two things outside of the titles. What other storylines in England are you going to follow the second half? And I think John froze. That's always great timing when you try to send it to John and he freezes.
I'll tell you mine. First of all, Leeds sitting in 15th right now. How long does Leeds continue with Bielsa?
I don't know if it's about being 15th. Like I thought this was going to be his last year, regardless of what they did.
Right.
But I'm surprised he stayed this long because he's never stayed this long anywhere he's been in his long career. He's never done it.
Right.
I think you're seeing that, the squad needs a refresh. I think he's done as much as he can do. I think whether they finished 5th or 15th or got relegated, he would be done at the end of the year. I think he's done at the end of the year. I think he keeps him up, but I think he's done at the end of the year.
Right. And with Newcastle, the only people you're going to get to come into a January window with a relegation level team, no matter who's financially backing them, it's going to be a bunch of mercenaries, right? So
but that can keep you up at least.
It can at least keep you up, but you got to. I mean, who are you going to get to come into that? You're going to have to. I know he's talking about PSG, but I mean, Frank Kessie, man, you call Milan up and be like, "Look, we'll pay you $50 million."
It seems like those kinds of. It seems like those guys are turning Newcastle down. Like Sven Botman at Lille basically was kind of in that situation. He's been linked everywhere. He's not going to stay at Lille, and he's like, "I'm not going to go to Newcastle." It's almost like you need to get guys who you can sell it on. Look, you got 1 year left on your deal. You probably don't want to sign a new deal with us. Okay, that's cool. Or you're going into the last year next year is the way you'd be looking at it right now. So you're looking at those guys and saying, look, you might not re-sign with us. You might want to by the time we get to 6 months out, and we'll talk about it then. But we're going to give you a platform to come here, and you're going to get noticed, and you're going to get talked about, and you're going to get seen, and you can move on wherever you want after that. You need those guys who are going to bet on themselves and kind of go down that road.
Now, I want to bring in one thing here before we toss it back to John and Jared. How many people do you think are looking at the Newcastle situation and saying, you know what, that ownership group's problematic? I'm talking about people in the orbit and saying, look, for your brand, it is not good for you to go to deal with these guys.
I don't know. It is. I wonder if at the very beginning, and I have to go back and look if you had those issues with City as well, and it's different, but there's some similarity there of, do you want to go play there and do you want to be part of that? It hasn't been mentioned. It hasn't even been hinted at yet.
Yeah,
but it could. You just never know. Whatever they do the rest of this month is going to be fascinating.
It's going to be,
if they find a way to stay up, which they should, based off the talent they should have by the end of the month, they should. If they don't, then it's a complete and utter failure of this takeover at the beginning. It's nothing they can't fix in time. It honestly might be better for them to get relegated and be able to build young and fresh a year outside the Premier League and get young and get guys who can develop, go into some places where you're not looking for guys who you need right now who can come in and help you stay up. You can go actually plan for the future, but they don't want to go down that road unless they have to.
Right.
Sell Miguel Almiron to AC Milan.
He's not playing. Eddie Howe doesn't seem to rate him.
Good.
It's
Send him to
really
Milan cheaply.
It's really
$3 million.
weird. Eddie, I've got serious questions about Eddie Howe, but anyway. Jarrett Smith is with us. Jarrett, quickly, your question about the rest of the Premier League season, since it appears Manchester City is going to take the trophy again. What are you going to be watching for the rest of the way in England?
Just how many points they get at this point, who gets second. How does the battle for European spots shake out? Well, we'll see. What the hell is going on at Newcastle? Because to your point, I feel really good about Eddie Howe not taking the job at Celtic right now.
You should be.
Yeah, you should.
Dude, what the hell, man? Also, I'm going to laugh my ass off when Miguel Almiron gets sold for much less than they bought him for. Y'all want to get mad about, Eric Lopez leaving Atlanta United for possibly less than he was brought in for? Watch the shit Newcastle's about to do, buddy.
Jeez, Jarrett comes in a house of fire. Goodness.
Oh, the chili I made in
I
there is
got one
hot.
of the
Good
most
Lord.
dynamic number 10s to come through South America and MLS. Arguably the most electric player to come through MLS to make the jump to Europe, and went for an absurd amount of money. And Newcastle's going to watch him walk out the door for a fraction of what they paid for him because the manager doesn't rate him and doesn't know how to use him. Some of this also falls on the agent, and it's a weird situation because he's 2 managers removed from the manager who was there when he got there in the first place.
Who didn't know how to use him.
Jesus H. Christ, man. Y'all letting that dude languish through what is the prime of his career.
Yeah. Send him to
No,
Milan.
Bruce, they really don't.
I'm just smiling. All right, since you froze last time I tried to send this to you.
There was that 2.5 minute point where Xfinity decided to do maintenance right at the top of the hour.
They used to do that to me all the time. Middle of conference calls, they would do that.
John, I have the same thing.
Got to run that schema update, buddy. Got to rebuild.
I never get those. I don't know what kind of setup you have. Anyway, what is your? I asked for one question, and Jarrett went on a tirade and gave me 6 questions. John, what is your question? What is your storyline the rest of the way in England?
Well, I mean, for me, it's going to be at the bottom, considering that the top is pretty much all clinched, I think. I mean, literally, we were doing the math. It would have to take Manchester City losing 3 in a row, Liverpool continuing their run of form. I don't see that happening. Yes, the race for number 4 is going to be a part of it because you've got West Ham, Arsenal, Spurs, Manchester United, maybe Wolves chasing. They're all within 6 points of each other. But for me, it's Newcastle. And Newcastle is going to have to do better than drawing Watford if they're going to get out of the relegation zone, because right now you've got 4 teams separated by 3 points. Watford, and I'm still waiting for yet another manager to be a part of things at Watford just because they like to fire people.
So they're not as bad as Genoa, but they're bad.
Yeah. So Watford's lost 4 of 5. They drew Newcastle on the weekend. They're at 14 points. Norwich won this past weekend, and that's what got Rafa sacked. So Norwich is at 13, Newcastle's at 12. They've drawn their last 2. And then Burnley. The thing about Burnley for me, they've only won once. They've only played 17 matches. So because of COVID and, postponements and things. So they have right now at maximum 5 matches that they have to make up at some point between now and the end of the year.
Good luck.
And yes, that can help you when you're, 3 points away from a relegation battle, but you're going to be doing midweek weekend for a metric crap ton of weeks to get caught up with everybody else. So for me, it's the relegation scrap.
In Spain, Real Madrid won another Super Cup. They're 5 points clear at the top of the table. Sevilla does have a game in hand. You want to get past those 2, you're going 10 points further back from Sevilla to Betis. So the top of the table is pretty much done. We'll see if Sevilla can hang around and make it difficult for Madrid. The story for me, the relegation fight, it's about the teams you would think that would be in that ballpark. Mallorca right now is 3 points clear. We'll see if they hang tight. The story for me in Spain, I I think is probably going to be the same for most everybody. It's Barcelona, and it's what they do because they're in sixth. They're on 32 points. They have not lost under Xavi, at least since I think the first game. They haven't won a ton either, but they're getting results. They've got soap opera after soap opera. They've got Ousmane Dembele thinking he is a top player in the world, but not playing like it. You got the whole cash situation, but you're only 1 point out of a Champions League spot. And we know how important Champions League and the financial rewards of it are going to be for Barcelona. And just from a tactical perspective, Xavi's really interesting to watch as he's doing what he's doing right now with a bunch of 17 and 18-year-olds. It's wild to watch. Outside of that, Spain is honestly kind of boring unless Andres Guardado tries to start another brawl after a game where he's simulating somebody play acting when they get hit with an object from the stands, and Guardado is making fun of that situation. That's always going to go over well. There's really nothing else. It's Barcelona.
God's greatest gifts are unanswered prayers.
Oh, boy. All right, Garth.
Just throwing that out there.
Any other storylines in Spain that you guys are going to pay attention to the rest of the way?
It's Barcelona. It has to be Barcelona.
Absolutely, it has to be Barcelona.
There's just not much else. I mean, Atleti, I guess if you want to find a secondary storyline, is this the end of the run for Simeone?
Yeah, but
maybe?
we were saying that last year.
I know, and then he won, and he's not going to win this year. If he doesn't get to the Champions League, I think it is the end of the run.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and considering 34 through 31, it's what, 5 teams and 3 points right there?
Yeah, that part will be interesting, but I think it will be the end of the run. Simeone just comes to mind for me. I watched a video shared with these guys of Dome Tarrant doing an interview with a Spanish podcast for like an hour early on in the pandemic. So I think Dome, as we've seen from his interviews here in MLS, I think he just loves to chat. He likes to talk soccer. And he talked about it. He was talking about the idea of game models and all of that, but he talked about very early on Simeone coming in and watching Barcelona training. I think it was right around when he took over, before he was about to take over Atleti. And Pep's like, yeah, come watch training. Come hang out. It's all good. And he's watching it, and he's like, it's a wonderful session. Like, it's great. Like, what they're doing with the passing and the rondos, it's amazing. But I can't do that. Like, that's not me. I can't coach that. I can't do that. And he's went down his road, and he's had success with it. Mm-hmm. But it's probably time. And does he get one last hurrah of, maybe he should have left after winning the title last year? I don't know. Maybe, or after that last title, maybe he should have walked. Just, I hope he doesn't go out in a sad way, because what he's done at Atleti is really impressive, dealing with Barcelona and Real Madrid, and he's got some trophies to his name fighting those two.
Yeah, but he needs to leave. I think he should have left after that. Like, if you know that you're going, it's almost like the Phil Jackson Last Dance thing, where even if you could have come back, no, it was just better to walk. And so it would have been better for his legacy. I think there have been some definitely higher end jobs waiting on him if he had left with that. But now, I don't think those higher end jobs are going to necessarily be lining up. But
where he goes next will be interesting, or how long he takes. I think he's somebody who would do great as a national team manager. I think he'd kill it as a national team manager. Maybe if Scaloni ends his run after this World Cup in Argentina, maybe it's Cholo to take over Argentina.
If I am Roma, I am reaching out to his people now.
Well, yeah.
And saying, hey, look, we can work something out.
We're gonna bite the bullet on Jose the rest of the year, but if you want to change the scenery next year.
Did I tell you how many car dealerships I own? Yeah, we could ship over some American muscle cars for you, pal. No problem. We can have those things.
I wonder what American muscle car Cholo would like.
Get the big Ram F950.
It's probably an old Stingray.
Oh.
No, I don't think Cholo's that kind of guy. I actually do think if Cholo was like coaching in the SEC, he would have like the truck dealership ads on every one of his games.
Yeah.
He would be doing the Kirby Smart kind of truck ads.
You give him the Barracuda from Nash Bridges.
Oh.
don't know. I just think he's a truck guy. I think he's a big truck guy.
The big black Ram F950 that's got every
the
Definitely be in black. Yeah.
Yeah, the V12 engine that was designed by like Russian space scientists or something.
Yeah.
Like
Loud as
can't
hell.
Get through the drive-through because it's too tall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could
Nick
see
and I
Cholo
are both.
doing
Nick, this is Paulding County.
Yeah.
We're talking about
Yep.
now. We're talking like
The
we're
dump
talking about Paulding
tires.
County trucks.
I was thinking the McDonald's at 278 and 92. How many times I watched friends of mine have to pull their trucks into like the outside parking lot over by the hair cuttery because they couldn't even park it in the parking lot.
And see, I'm thinking about the Zaxby's over there when it opened, and the line around the block to get into the Zaxby's. And that's just the people who didn't want to take the time to go out on 92 and hit up a Catfish Den.
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
Okay. We've got Cholo
We've
in the
seen
giant
some
truck
things.
now.
Jason,
Oh no!
we've
Hey,
seen some things.
I grew up on the south side of town. I've seen plenty of
I
things
know,
in
I'm just
very all kinds of different ways. I know exactly what y'all are talking
When
about.
our time to meet the Lord comes, we're going to be giving the speech from the end of Blade Runner. Like, I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
Let's see what we're seeing in Germany. They are 19 games in. Bayern is 6 points clear at the top. It's been a little interesting. It might be a little interesting for a minute here with all the absences they have. Maybe, possibly, maybe. Dortmund is in second, 6 points back. Leverkusen is 14 points behind Bayern. Hoffenheim's 15. It's the same thing. Like the last Champions League spot is really interesting, except you have third in play here. So you've got Leverkusen on 32, Hoffenheim on 31, Union Berlin on 31, Freiburg on 30, Leipzig on 28, Frankfurt on 28, Köln on 28, and Mainz on 27. That takes you all the way down to 10th. 4 points out of a Champions League spot.
Yeah.
So that's going to be fun. Probably for a lot of people, the biggest story is going to be watching Ricardo Pepi at Augsburg and that side of it. What else in Germany are you guys looking for the rest of the season?
The Erling Haaland saga.
Yeah.
What are the next 2 weeks going to be like, and is that a subset for the remainder of the season? Are you going to have an unhappy superstar, even though he will have said what his decision is? You want me to make up my mind? Okay, I'll make up my mind. And so it's for me, it's in two stages. It's the next 2 weeks with someone who's going to be saying something, and then what happens after February 1st with the remainder of the year.
Yeah, I mean, that's really about all there is there, honestly, outside of the competitive spot for third, fourth, and Pepi from a U.S. audience.
For me, it's Hoffenheim. If Hoffenheim is able to stay into that top four space and get to Champions League, and if we, who all are they bringing in? I mean, it's
right.
Dortmund and Bayern are going to be there. We know that. Leverkusen, when you start getting like the third, like let's say third down to sixth, you're talking about like 2 points, man. I mean, that's absolutely insane how competitive that group is. When you talk about Leverkusen at 32, Hoffenheim 31, Union Berlin at 31, Freiburg at 30, and then Leipzig at 28.
If Leipzig can get back into a Champions League spot, that's a really interesting story too with their change, although it hasn't really lit things up just yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
If FCUB was to get that fourth spot, what it would mean for them, having been in the Bundesliga for a couple of years.
That'd be a fun story for sure. France, I mean, PSG, not even a good PSG, is 11 points clear at the top.
Yeah.
I don't see any way Pochettino's back there next year.
Yeah.
I'm not buying it. I don't think he's happy. He seems miserable.
I think what's tragic with PSG is that they at no point, and maybe I'm missing a huge chunk of the media world here. At no point have they captured the world's imagination. With the talent that they have, the best player of this generation, and they have not made a blip on the radar once in a while you'll get here's this moment or that moment, but you don't hear people talking about them in the same sort of hushed tones that you heard from some of the great Real Madrid teams, some of the great Barcelona teams, some of the great Manchester United or City teams or Liverpool
Nothing
teams.
like that.
None of it. Mm-hmm. And if I'm with Ligue 1, I would, if you have to make a deal with the devil himself to get out from under this BN contract that you're with, or get whoever. I don't care. You go find the biggest, best deal humanly available to you, and get your product on a better stage. And I don't. There's no reason that PSG shouldn't be listed among the all-time great lineups. They have like a FIFA Ultimate Team lineup, and they're not making a drop in the damn bucket from a conversation standpoint. We should be talking about PSG every week.
Yeah, but also when you do watch them, they're not that good
there
right now. They're just, it's not clicking.
No.
It's not working. For all the people who say, like, oh, well, they are 11 points clear, but they're not going to be in the Champions League conversation unless things start to click a little bit, because you can have all the talent in the world. It doesn't always fit, and it doesn't always work with the coach that you have. I don't think Pochettino's the kind of guy to run that team.
No.
And I think Pochettino's a very good coach, a very good manager, but I don't think he's the guy for that group.
He's not that guy.
No, he needs to be somewhere where he can develop a group, not manage a bunch of egos.
Yeah.
And that's what he's got. It's a weird situation, but there's nobody else who can even, remotely be on the same level as them. It's not like England where, oh, well, Pep's got all the money, but you have Liverpool, you have Chelsea, you have Manchester United wasting money. You don't Nice and Marseille and Rennes and Monaco. Like, no, you can add all them up and maybe they can spend like PSG. Maybe. Right. It's not the same thing.
You would have to consolidate half the Ligue 1 teams in order to get one super team that could even like hang with them.
It's just weird.
And who's going to come manage them?
Yeah, because that's a whole other thing. There's a short list of guys who can do that job. That's not for everybody. It's not for every good coach.
And that's something that we have talked about before. And every time we talk about one of these super teams, the level of churn and burn that has occurred at the upper echelon, the 1A teams, the Super League teams.
Yep.
Who else is out there? We're seeing retreads now on retreads come in to try to get mid-table teams up and to make the mid-table teams competitive. Guys who were formerly extraordinarily competitive, and it's not working at all. There's even fewer guys out there who are, wow, this guy's really something, who are out there and available, or would probably not have terribly different results than what you're seeing here.
Why do you think Roberto Martinez's name keeps coming up?
Right.
I mean, there isn't. After Allegri got a job and hasn't really looked, like a world beater there. I think he's starting to get it. He knocked the rust off eventually.
Right.
But he hasn't been what they expected. After that move, there just isn't anybody else. I mean, Mourinho keeps getting teams. I don't think he'll get them at that level anymore, but he keeps getting gigs with pretty big teams.
Right.
There's nobody else sitting out there. You've got to turn to somebody new, and it's probably going to be a former player, and it's probably going to be somebody with that kind of reputation. The only one
we have this issue in every sport because of one overarching theme in every sport with these teams and these leadership groups. They scared.
Well, here's one part of the explanation for it, though, is I think faster than ever, fan bases, media, conversation turns against a manager faster than it ever has.
Ever.
You want instant results, yeah.
I mean, we're watching it with the Hawks now, and there could be other reasons for it, but Nate McMillan was seen as the savior not even a full year ago, and now you're seeing people are like, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing. He needs to be fired.
Right. That's looking every day. That's looking more and more like the complex answer. That he was part of the solution. Like changing out the coach was part of the solution. It wasn't the whole thing. I swear to God, every day feels like it's another piece of a puzzle coming in. Like this This isn't. This is not a switch out the spark plugs solution, y'all.
But to be a top team, like you have a lot of different issues generally. So like it is hard. And I think the idea now, and it's across the board, and boards and owners and decision makers do hear that noise. You know, it's the tide turns so fast on people that there's no time for anybody to develop.
Right.
So like you don't have those new managers really coming up and getting an opportunity to develop. There's nowhere for them to go work without being, thrown into a spotlight and getting, a crowd turning on them in 6 months. It's very,
successful manager these days, and the crowd still turns.
Oh yeah, no, easily. If you're an up and comer, like forget it. I mean, you're not going to get that time unless you're going into other parts of the world. I mean, we've talked about Sebastian Becasese in South America, but even somebody like Hernan Crespo, who's a huge name and won a Copa Sudamericana. He goes to Brazil and is out in like 6 months. Ramirez, who won a Copa Sudamericana with Independiente del Valle, out in less time than that at Internacional. Now he's at Charlotte. Like even here, you get some of those issues. I mean, everybody after about a 2 month where they like the guy, you got Club America fans turning on Santiago Solari because he didn't win the league title last year. It's even in this hemisphere where I think you might in some leagues and in some clubs get a little more time. You don't get that much. It's hard for probably the one to look at to shift things a little bit here. And Jarrett's probably going to break something. The league and the example is what Steven Gerrard did going to Scotland and winning a title with Rangers. And yeah, it was a very unique situation because if you go to Rangers, you go to Celtic, you're probably going to win a lot of things. But he goes there, he wins. He's not dealing with the same kinds of pressures. And then he's able to walk into a pretty good job in the Premier League. But he had some time to grow, maybe outside of that spotlight a little bit. And your dude now, Jarrett, might be one of the next ones with what he's doing.
And the thing with Gerrard is interesting because you have to go back and look at Rangers at what they were when he got there. This is a club that had to be reborn and work their way up from the first level. They were not prepared in any way, shape, or form to challenge right away. And I don't think he had that expectation, which was healthy.
No,
it was
that's
good.
Where he needed to be.
So he had time. You had time for him to learn without the pressure of you have to win right away. Hey, we know you're not going to win right away because no one can win right away.
Right. Mm-hmm. It's tough. We had a question earlier, and I was kind of waiting for you to show up, Jarrett, about the news today with Ronald Hernandez coming to Atlanta on a permanent deal. It's not really news. We knew it was going to happen. Carlos Bocanegra told the media last week. Deal gets announced, and there is, I don't even know what to really call it, the reaction from, I think, a segment of the Aberdeen fan base. And I think one thing I'm starting to learn more and more is that your online fan base might not be your overall fan base, first off, and even your online fan base has segments of its own.
They sure as hell are the loudest, though.
They're the loudest if you're online. And there is a conversation that I think Dawn Star was asking about, and Airborne DJ wanted to follow up on it too. Just the relationship with Atlanta United and Aberdeen and kind of why it is what it is. And is there anything that can really be done about that segment of the fan base who anything that happens with Atlanta, they get weird about?
Yeah, so this one's weird because I saw the comments. I think it was the Here We Go podcast made the comment about him going of all the teams he's going into. Like, first of all, like MLS is so weird in that we don't know who did or didn't have interest.
Yeah.
Also,
they
have
quote
the
tweeted
pre-existing relationship.
Right. They quote tweeted a tweet from me from December of 20 saying that Atlanta didn't need another right back, which is not the same thing as the current situation.
Correct.
As we've talked about all season, like they needed more cover on the right side.
Yeah, things change. Time is linear. It marches forward. Atlanta went from having really good cover in that position to now Brooks Lennon's playing well. Brooks Lennon is also getting national team attention, and Brooks Lennon is still young enough that if he takes the jump that you think he's capable of, you might start getting interest in him. You'd love to have 100%. Cover back there with a 24-year-old. Also, there might be situations where you push Brooks Lennon forward in the game, and you need someone to cover it right back.
Yep, we've seen
that. It gives you depth. I mean, we complain a lot with MLS teams about the lack of depth. This is adding depth to the team and getting potential results out of it.
Yeah, so like there's a reaction, I think, I think it's a segment of people who support Aberdeen who are like, oh, well, this was all predetermined anyway because of the Atlanta relationship.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think it was. It didn't work out for him at Aberdeen, and you have to go back to the timing of it. It happened. The move for him to go to Aberdeen was under Derek McGuinness. It was at the very end of January 2020. So by the time he got to Scotland and probably got settled, you're into the middle of February, maybe a little bit earlier than that, but you're into February of 2020. Well, if you go back in time, as we get into the Wayback Machine, you'll remember that not even a full month later, you're starting to deal with COVID. And you're talking about a young player who was in Scandinavia and did really well, and then moves to Scotland. And a month later, everything shuts down. That's about the worst time that you can make a major move ever.
Yeah.
And when we talk about being shut down, like it wasn't like it was here.
Yeah.
No.
It was not at all like it was here. And he probably had no real friends in the team. There's no real like Latin group in that team. Probably not much of a Latin community in Aberdeen. So it was all very difficult. And as was said, when they did come back to action, remember Scotland didn't come back for a long time after the break. They didn't finish that season. So it was a long time with him not being able to play, not being able to go home, not being able to see his family. And it was talked about when they did come back that he was homesick. He was struggling. He was struggling emotionally. So he needed to change the scenery. Yes, that's where having a relationship with a team that has a very Latin locker room probably helped make it make sense for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Also, shared representation with Joseph Martinez. That probably doesn't hurt making one of those kind of deals happen either. So he comes to Atlanta on loan. It works out. Aberdeen said that they made money on the deal. They got money in addition to from whatever they paid to bring him in initially.
Right.
And they have a sell-on him. So I don't know what the complaint is because I don't think there was anybody else that was going to pay a huge amount for him.
Yeah, I think it's perception.
Yeah,
Nobody wants to be viewed as lower than the Americans, right?
I think that's really what it comes down to because otherwise it doesn't make any sense.
No.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be viewed as lower than the Americans. Nobody wants.
Why are we dealing with this Major League Soccer?
Well, like and it doesn't help that A and B has an invested interest in the team. That the former A and B manager and Stephen Glass is there now.
That should change it to me. Like if it was just a partnership on paper, I could understand it because I'd be like, all right, what do we get out of this?
Yeah.
Well, if you're Aberdeen, first off, you made money on this deal completely, and you got to sell on if anything happens further. But what did you get? You got investment in the club. Like shares were bought.
Well, see, Jason, what you're doing right now is you're talking about logic and reason and
I know, and sadly,
and
we have to do that because sometimes it gets left out of conversations a lot in this game.
Pride only hurts.
Sorry.
It never helps.
Pride is no. Nick is right. Pride is a big part of this because of Aberdeen's history. This is something that that you're going to deal with a club that has the history they have. That if they feel like they are, being used as a holding spot for a team that is less than 10 years old, given the history they have, of course, pride's going to ride into it. Now, whether that's right or wrong is up for debate, and clearly it's going to be up for debate with Aberdeen fans. But I think pride is absolutely part of the conversation here.
Yeah, it is. It doesn't mean it's right, and
no.
I know what it is. I understand that.
Yeah, you can disagree with it for sure. I completely understand that. I think that is absolutely something we've got to like kind of power through. I don't know how you do that.
But this is the thing. It's not about a disagreement thing. Like to me in this situation, there isn't anything to disagree with. If you're saying that this was a bad deal for Aberdeen, I don't know how you sell that unless you're calling people liars. If the club says they made a return on their investment, and they have a sell-on anything future that happens with the player, and he wasn't going to play for them because they have a right back that they're invested in who is drawing interest in other places.
How is this a bad thing for you?
I don't understand what the complaint is other than just anything with Atlanta automatically equals bad, but that's not going to help you in any way at this stage because it's illogical to have that mentality because you're not having your best player. If here's how you could argue that and be, I think, in some way factual. If Lewis Ferguson and Ramsey and after Christian Ramirez has a great start to the season, if those three were transferred to Atlanta in an exchange for 3 homegrowns that haven't played yet, okay, we can have that conversation. But there's nothing being done to hurt Aberdeen as a club, hurt Aberdeen on the field, hurt the on-field product.
Right.
There's only benefits
only
so far
pride
from
has been
all
hurt
of it.
Yeah.
That's it. Only pride's been hurt. Not the checking account, not the player, not the team.
Ironically, I think he would fit right now with what they wanted to do more so than when McGinnis was there. Like he fits what Glass wants to do with a right back more so than he did when McGinnis was there.
Yeah. Absolutely. And look, maybe people thought that was what was going to happen. I never got that sense, though. I think people never really warmed to Hernandez anyway because he struggled when he first got there. And when after COVID, he was still struggling. It's just like I don't get the reaction at times now to where anything is bad. I understand there's pride to it, but as we've all said, like you can have your pride and you can continue to make bad decisions because of it, and it's not going to help you.
Right, but there's as we have discussed, there's no league in the world that has exploded the way that MLS has, and there will be people. I will be silently quote tweeted and subtweeted for this, and that's great. But
I gave up worrying about that a long time ago.
Right. Have fun. Especially individuals who block me and then quote me later on.
Yeah, welcome to my world.
Fun. But there's been when COVID happened and global economies were on the brink, and leagues were screaming at governments saying we're going to go under. Teams are going to collapse. We have people who are not making paychecks. People who are not. Everything's falling apart. MLS was one of the few leagues that was like, "Hey, we got a solution. We're good. Thanks. Have fun." Mm-hmm. And they made it work. And you can yell about pro rel. Great, fun conversation to have at some point. Not now. You can yell about teams making it on their own merit as we watch. Teams around the U.S., especially in the far lower divisions, taking a year off here or there, or shutting down entirely, or moving towns. And around the world, hey, we have to do nothing but start academy kids because we have no money for new signings. MLS is not having that problem.
No.
And it is an ego hit to every other team around when they have to go through and sell players to MLS, because you see it anytime a player is linked with Atlanta United or New York or LA. Why are they going to this lower league? This sucks. They should be going to Europe. They recognize that Spain, England, France, Italy are the superiors. That's fine. How dare these upstart Americans have this league that's competitive and entertaining and engaging?
Who are these people?
Yeah, who are these ruffians? But they're the ruffians with money. That's it. That's who they are.
Please tell me someone has referred to them as ruffians. Please,
I'm sure somebody somewhere has. I'm sure.
But what you're dealing with now is pride. And to quote Marcellus Wallace, pride only hurts, it never helps. And that's what you have right now is pride is getting in the way of people understanding sound business decisions, a decision that is beneficial for the player, for the team, for everyone involved. And because the player's moving to an organization who has a minority stake in your team, you think all of a sudden there's black helicopters and UFOs and men in black with little flashy things hitting people. Sometimes it's just business. And there's nothing wrong with it just being business. And that's fine.
I would be willing to bet that there's no other club in the world that would have given Aberdeen more money than Atlanta would have for Ronald Hernandez.
No. Mm-hmm. No.
And that's not a knock on Ronald Hernandez. It's the fact that he was here last year and it went well. And it's the fact that you had the relationship with Ronald Hernandez's agent, with Joseph Martinez, which could have happened at any other club, but it happened in Atlanta where you have this relationship and all of that goes down. Like, you're not going to do better elsewhere. And they needed investment when they got investment. It's really starting to get a little weird with some of the conversation about it. And look, we'll see if it happens.
It's fan bases in general, though, Jason. It's fan bases in general. We see it here in Atlanta.
Trust me. I want to make this clear. I understand why it's happening, but I'm not going to let people off the hook and just say, oh, well, that's just how they're going to be. So, okay, yeah, fine. You can be a moron because of your pride. No, I'm going to say you're being a moron because of your pride.
Well, and my thing is this, right? It's like any team in the league right now could have signed Tito Villalba. Any team in the league could have signed Tito Villalba at this point. Any team could have signed Tito Villalba. Which MLS team has signed Tito Villalba? None. No one. Not one team, even the teams with money, have reached out to say, yeah, we'll bring you in for 11 million, 10 million. No one.
Oh, nobody's paying that for him.
No one. He's still down in Paraguay, right?
You got 4 million from Libertad.
Yeah. He's still down in Paraguay, right? Why? If he's this great, legendary, talented player, but we can't accept, and especially in this city, and I have to use Atlanta because it's the city where I see the most pushback from, and I'm sure the Twitch pitch is going nuclear at this moment. Good, well, a bunch of logical, reasonable people here.
They might be asleep,
but people
or drunk.
But there is this thing called reality where value can fall off, and people can yell and scream, but it doesn't change reality. That reality is things sometimes happen and it's a hit to your pride, or maybe it proves your thought process wrong and you have to come correct, or you have to kind of, I don't know, think in a new way because you've been proven wrong. And for teams and leagues like Scotland, and where they say, well, why the hell are we selling talent to these America? What? We're not a selling team. We're not a selling league. That's not who we should be.
America.
America should be that they're the poverty team. Boy, they're the poverty league. What the hell are we doing? No, it's pride. It's pride.
Oh, no, that's absolutely what it is.
I know that's what we can see that. But unfortunately, the fan is short for fanatic, and that doesn't always mean that it's not intelligent. It just means sometimes it's fanatic. Mm-hmm. We're crazy about our team. That means that sometimes logic and reason don't play a role into this. It's pub conversation. It's barbershop talk. It's it's bar talk, or whatever you want to call it. But that doesn't mean logic and reason and common sense play a role into it.
No, it doesn't.
I'm sorry, it infuriates me.
But that's why here it always will. And that's why we'll always talk through those issues and talk about them and try to cover things from a varied perspective, because we all have different things that we believe about the game. We all have different things that we hold true and disagree on some things, but we're not just going to throw BS at you because it's going to get a clip that everybody's going to think, oh, look at these guys yelling at each other. No. Or we're not just going to go with whatever the memo is that goes to everybody else and tells people how to think and what messaging to say and what narratives are active today. We're going to tell you what we're seeing based off our experiences. And we all have a lot of different experiences in the game at various levels. And that's what we do. And when there's something like this situation where it really feels like it's turned into like this weird conspiracy theory about stuff, we're going to say it's foolish. Right. It's not healthy. It's not, it doesn't make any sense. Like, think about this logically. And we're going to try to point that out to you. And it's the same thing we do when it comes down to Atlanta United and moves there. And, the latest is Eric Lopez, and Bonfield has made the official announcement that he is going to Bonfield on a 1-year loan, option to buy at the end of the year. The option to buy is $1.6 million for 50% of the pass. And if you go back into the archives when the Eric Lopez rumor started, there was a lot of heavy reminding on this program, on all of these programs, about the kid's played about 12 games as a professional in his career.
Mm-hmm.
He's a teenager. He's a very talented teenager, but he's a teenager with very little first-team experience. He's going to need time. He's obviously talented because Paraguay's U23s called him, and he was the youngest player at the CONMEBOL U23 Olympic qualifying tournament. But he's going to need time. And he looked like that player last year. He, at times, looked very good. And at times, he looked overwhelmed. And he looked lost at times. And he went to the twos, and he didn't play well at a lower level. He needs to go somewhere and play. He's not going to play consistently here right now. He's not. There's no way for that to happen. The only way that happens is you want to bench Joseph Martinez to play Eric Lopez. No. You want to bench, one of your Barcos or Araujus or Marcelino Morenos to play two up top.
Because I feel like I'm going to see that at least once because people have just whiplash reactions.
Well, and I don't care about that stuff anymore. It's just it gets. Where I care is where it turns into a narrative. Yeah. With Eric Lopez, a narrative was started that he was not what he was when he showed up. And that's not right. It's not fair to Eric Lopez because then what it created was something that Gabriel Heinze said early. Not early on. I think it was a little bit later in his run where there was a lot of talk about playing, I think, Jackson Conway. It might have been Eric too. Like, play these guys. And he's like, I'm going to give the young guys opportunities when they're ready to play. But these are the same guys that down the road, you're going to yell at me for playing.
Right.
And that's what we've seen play out at times with these guys because you can't always bark like I want the young guys to play. And then when they make a mistake, now I don't want them to play. But right now, Eric Lopez needs to play to get better. He needs to play to grow in confidence. And he's not going to play here consistently.
Right. And I saw yelling about the fact that it's what the loan was for. He was purchased for how much was it? Was it
options at 1.6?
Options at 1.6. But what was he? What did he come to Atlanta for?
Reportedly, at least there was one report that was 3.7.
Right. And so people are looking at the 3.7 and the 1.1 and said, "Oh my God, we got fleeced."
$2 million down the drain.
Yeah. One was before the pandemic as well.
Right.
Remember that because he came or the deal was done right before the pandemic. Different market entirely.
And they didn't sell 100% of the pass for the 1 point whatever it is.
Yeah, the 1.6. No,
it's 50%, which means if this kid goes to Bonfield and who can develop talent, they have a track record for developing talent, and they develop this kid, and he goes somewhere for $6 million, $7 million.
That's 3 to 3.5 in addition to the 1.6.
I love that Atlanta's doing these 50% of pass deals now. I love it. I love it.
What are we missing?
Yeah,
I don't have to sound Twellman here, but what are we doing?
It's just look this, and as people point out in the Twitch pitch, there was a narrative that the team lied to him about his role. Well, no, initially the deal was to come play for the second team for a year. I don't know, maybe because he had 12 games of professional experience under his belt. Yes. Then before he could start playing for the second team and show up, you had COVID hit and you had the second team situation. And then a decision was made. And I really, truly believe that at one point there was going to be changes with the way players moved between the first and the second team. And if you remember, there was a conversation, I think Frank DeBoer mentioned it, and I think Carlos Bocanegra mentioned it, about an expectation that Eric Lopez was going to be able to play with the first team in 2020 after the return to play. And then that was struck down and that changed. I think the team was told one thing by MLS as they were figuring out their return to play protocols all across the way. Right. And it didn't happen. So then the decision was that he would stay and train with the first team as opposed to going to play with the second team in those moments. Okay, you can go back and forth about that. Would have been better for him to play in the second team environment in 2020. I don't know if it would have helped him or not, but that was the decision that was made. He's a young player and he needs time. And regardless of any of that, and again, the whole narrative launching thing with all of this, it's not healthy. It's not going to go away. No. It's just what happens when you have a bunch of people who are interested and people who want the attention in whatever form or fashion of if it's financial, if it's clout, if it's whatever. You're going to have narratives start in any large fan base. That's just the nature of all of this. You get it in college football. You guys see it every day. You get it in any big league here. You get it in any country in the world. I mean, El Chiringuito feasts on narratives worldwide. So you're going to get that. But you have to be able to, if you want to. And look, it's just the way that I consume stuff. I want to get down to the truth of the matter. I don't want to be sitting here and dealing with things that when I start to think about it, I'm like, wait a minute, I got a freaking headache trying to figure out what the idea of the conspiracy is here. What?
Yeah. It's starting to reach like middle school word problem level.
It
like
is.
A train leaves Milwaukee at 4 p.m. carrying 37 people and a dozen goats.
Yep.
It arrives in Chicago 6 hours later with a half dozen chickens and eggs. What's the square root of the color purple? It's like, wait, what?
It's just foolish. And you see these kinds of moves in every club in the world where you go and you see a talented young player and you pay a transfer fee for him. And I love that this club is aggressive to do these things because if it comes good, it's a minor investment that will pay off in the long run. Right. But right now, for it to come good, he's got to play. And this situation happens everywhere. Like
Jan-Peter Hauge with Milan. I mean, they brought him in and they were expecting him to be this dynamic player, and it didn't work.
He wasn't ready yet.
No, he wasn't ready, and so they moved him on. And
they sold him. They didn't loan him somewhere. No, they flat sold. They gave up on it. Yeah. This is not a giving up situation. If Bonfield wants to buy the 50%, okay, cool. Buy it for 1.6. You got 1.6 in the bank. Again, he was bought, and as Byrne points out, yes, he was bought before the U22 initiative, and we are going to bang the drum about separating U22 initiative and young designated player because they're two separate things. Yep. It's super complicated. MLS needed a better name for the U22 initiative because nobody wants to call it that. No. They want to call it young designated player, but you already have young designated player, which is just a regular designated player of a certain age that has a lower cap hit, so it gets super confusing. But the U22 initiative was not in place yet. I'm sure it was talked about. I'm sure it was something on people's radar. But anyway, you bought Eric Lopez. You did the deal before the pandemic hit. So the market's different. If you paid 3.7 and now he's being valued in a potential sale at 3.2, well, that's not much of a shock after the frickin' pandemic.
No.
Right.
So if they do it, great. If Bonfield likes him, and they have a good track record of developing young players and playing them, great. It goes well. They pay 1.6, great. He might move on after that, and you might get all your money and then some later. He might come back to Atlanta as a different player at the end of a year and be able to contribute next year because this roster could look different next year.
Yep.
He's not going to improve here. So you've invested in something, and what's the idea? That he comes off the bench 12 times a season and starts 3 games? And that's going to make him better? No. Just stop trying to find something to freak out about it all the time. It's exhausting.
Yeah, it's part of the process, but again, you saw there's 50% of the past to account for here. And I just think that's sort of lost in the sauce. And in the European market, again, this just tells me that a lot of people who are yelling and screaming about this are fans of like the upper crust of the Premier League.
Yeah.
We're not used to loan deals, not used to loan with option to buy.
If they're Chelsea fans, they should be used to it.
They should be.
Because Chelsea's done a really good job with that. And I would love if Atlanta could model that. It's hard to do with MLS because of some of the structure. But if you've got the money, go and sign players and loan them out. And if they come good for you, great. If you bring them back home, great. If you buy them and loan them out and then you sell them on later, well, then you're going to have more money in the coffers. You're going to be able to do other things.
It's the business is going to be done differently. And the whole insult of selling club, well, economically solvent club.
Yeah.
So you can reinvest said money and bring in other players to continue your levels of success.
Like Dallas, who has sold Ricardo Pepi and now is being linked finally with a significant potential investment in Alan Velasco at Independiente. Yeah. 7 to 10 million. Okay, good. Charlotte talked about it. They had a budget set for what they're going to spend on their designated players. They bought this kid Riley McGree for like $500,000-$600,000. sell him for somewhere between
Talk about
5 to
piece of
7.
business.
Yeah, and you're able to convert some of that into allocation money. You got more cash on hand, and you're able to then go get a better player than you would have.
As an expansion team, getting more allocation money.
I think they got a little lucky in the situation, but they played it correctly once that happened. You take it and you run.
Yeah.
Now we see what they do. They still, as I will continue to say until they get guys actually signed and then get them in.
Yes.
That roster's really thin right now, and they play in the Carolina Challenge Cup here pretty quick, and it's going to be a bunch of college kids and draft picks that are trying to earn a deal. And if you don't get some of these visas sorted out for guys that you signed forever ago, you're going to miss preseason, and it's going to take Miguel Angel Ramirez more time to implement that game model of his, and it's going to set them back. Now,
all you want about Atlanta United's front office, you better thank the heavens that you have a lawyer as your team president.
Oh, you got
who had to work with team visas, people coming in and out of the UK, and how you make those work permits happen. You didn't have to worry about any of that, because that was handled. Remember, in 2017, 2018, we were all freaking out, cracking up, laughing at how quickly a lot of these green cards came down the pipe because it was happening so quickly, and because you have somebody who had their legal ducks in a row.
Yep.
Business is not just about scout player, buy player, put player in starting lineup. There's a whole lot of steps in between here and there to make things happen. Little things can grease the wheels, or it can lock things up. Was it Marcus Aurelius who said that the road to victory is paved with the details? This is no different. And when we talk about narratives, make sure you include that narrative too. That Atlanta United, shockingly, is not the first team in human history to sign a young player, realize maybe it wasn't working in the way that they wanted it to work, and so now there's a loan out there for the player to go somewhere and develop. But also make sure you put into that whole narrative thing that it's a team that, by and large, has its ducks in a row on a lot of things and has hit far more than they've missed. Over over the course of its short lifetime.
Get on your Bird app and go find the goals that Boca scored in this game against Colo Colo. They scored an even better one off a free kick. Good grief. Kid Ceballos with a free kick that, oh my goodness. And also a Colo Colo player has a SpongeBob tattoo on his outside of his knee, which is pretty nice.
Oh, wow.
They had a nice close up of that earlier.
Can you imagine walking down the street, you got your best gal's, arm wrapped around yours. And you know what I'm going to do today, honey?
I'm going to get a SpongeBob tattoo.
That's right. Give me a SpongeBob. I got a Krusty Krab tattoo right next to it.
Pretty impressive. I'm not even going to go negative on Eric Lopez about you signed him, it's not working out. He needs to play, and he's not going to do it here. No. So, even as simple as that, he's not a starter right now because you have Joseph Martinez, you have Luis Araujo, you have Marcelino Moreno, you have Ezequiel Barco again right now, and there's nowhere for him to play. And he needs games. He's going to go get them at Bonfield.
As a fan, that should be a good thing because that means you have studs in the spots where he would be playing. Guys who you're not moving to the bench unless there's something cataclysmically wrong.
Yep.
So it's a loan, which means that I'm sure that there is some out language in there that in the event the cataclysmic thing happens, that theoretically you could get out of that if you needed to. I'm just saying.
Jarrett disappeared for a while, I think, to make a sandwich.
Yeah, probably so.
Hey.
But loans are loans.
What the hell did I do?
You disappeared. That's what you did, or you didn't do.
I did a phone call. Sorry.
Okay. Well, hey.
Important people doing important business.
Yeah. Anyway.
Let them know you're in this world doing business.
Hey, for all you know, I'm cutting a deal. Trying to see who else I can take from MLS to Scotland.
You're not. If you had something to do with Chris Mueller, that's fine. You can go find more people like that. Anyway. The FMF, the Mexican Federation, has announced a 5-year ban from Mexico games for fans who are ejected from stadiums for using the homophobic chant. Felipe Cardenas had that tweet, but the Mexican Federation announced that this evening. Good. I've said this consistently around all this. If you go back 5 years ago, you heard it all the time.
Yep.
You heard it everywhere. There really wasn't enough done about it at that time. The national team, the federation, the clubs, the league have done everything to try to stamp this thing out. It's better than it used to be. Now it's becoming something that people do out of anger, and it's stupid. This is another step. Like, it's pretty hardcore. I mean, I don't know what else you can do beyond it, because I don't know. I mean, the FMF doesn't create laws, so I don't know if it's anything that people could be arrested for. But you ban them from Mexico games for 5 years. I mean, I would assume they could enforce that in the U.S. at games that are under their control. They just got to continue to push.
Yep.
You just have to continue. Like, I would hope that the younger generation is starting to realize that it's stupid, and it's more kind of like old school old timers who are doing it when they're ticked off about something. But yeah, and Ricky, I mean, it's tough, the tiered thing, but that's not the Mexican Federation doing that. With this stuff, I think you have to point out where the mistakes are happening. Like, once you get into games, referees probably have to be instructed a little bit better when it comes down to the protocols and the tiers and being consistent with it and doing what needs to be done. And they're juggling a lot of different things at one point. I mean, you do have to think about fan safety as well. You don't want to start a riot if you stop games early. You want to do it. You want to be thorough with it. But yeah, there does need to be more consistency. But once the game starts, it's on the referees on the field. They've got the control. It's not on the federation at that point. This will, I think, help. They've got 2 games coming up. They're going to play behind closed doors at home because of this. The U.S. game won't be one of those. They'll be back to normal by that point. But it's something that's difficult. I think this is a good step, and I'm glad they're announcing this publicly. And I hope that when people get kicked out of stadiums for doing it, I hope that Mexico and the Federation announces it publicly that, hey, this person is no longer coming to our games for 5 years because they got kicked out of this game for doing something incredibly stupid.
Yep.
Show a picture of them getting dragged out of the stadium. I don't care. But yeah, publicly shame them.
Mm-hmm. Do like the British tabloids do. Take a picture and blow it up.
Sure.
Put it on the front of the magazine.
I mean, dead again, like, I don't know what else to do at this point. Like, I'm trying to figure out what else they can do.
I think it's great that they're doing it. I don't think it's going to work, but I think it's great. I think it's great that they're doing it.
I'll disagree. It's working. I think now it is a much smaller group of people who do it, and I think it's happening at certain points. And it's still happening, which is one time too many, but I think they have to keep trying.
Yeah.
Just like in all these other countries.
I think they should try. Yeah.
If it's a racist chant, if it's, people throwing things on the field like they did in Spain this past weekend. I mean, you have to keep fighting it. You have to keep trying to find different ways to fight it. And it sucks that this is part of the game right now, but it is.
Right. But let me continue. I don't think that the Federation, I think it's good that the Federation is doing it. I don't think it's going to work, and it's not going to completely eradicate it. It's going to be on the fans themselves,
of course,
to start policing this on their own, not necessarily just the FMF. It's going to have to also take the clubs within Liga MX to step in and be a part of it. The
clubs have. The clubs have.
And are stepping in. Because I'm looking at what's happening with Italy,
right.
And I'm saying that it's not just enough that the clubs do this because all the racist stuff is still happening. It's going to be on
the organized supporters, right?
The organized supporters to do something about it. It's not going to nothing's going to happen if it's just one entity doing it. It requires a holistic approach, everybody working together to stop it and eradicate it.
One thing about this, I do know that the American Outlaws, Sam's Army of Mexican fans in the U.S., Pancho Villa's army, I think is their name. They have been incredibly outspoken against it, and they have done everything they can do within their ranks. I don't think this is coming from organized support. Like, I don't think it's coming from those people who could make that difference. I think it's coming from individuals, but once it starts, others start doing it, and it's stupid, and they have to keep at it. It has gotten better, in my opinion. But now, as we see with any stupid thing that somebody does and maybe gets a little bit of attention for being a moron, there's copycat morons.
Yeah.
And now it's a smaller number. Like, it's not as loud as it used to be in general, but you're seeing it happen. Once you get one incident, you're seeing it happen again and again. And they've got to keep coming up with new tools to do it. It's just, look, I mean, I'd be fine if you did a lifetime ban dead again and do it at the club level too. Like, I'm great with all of that.
Absolutely.
You do have to do, I think, in terms of anything like this, to make it work and not lose people who think you're going too far. You escalate it. So now you've set the bar, 5-year ban. If you get caught doing this, you ban some people for 5 years. It keeps going. Then you say, look, we've done a 5-year ban. It's not enough. Okay, it's lifetime.
It needs to be like a no-fly list. Really.
Right, but
you screw up on one airline, you they're now no-fly list for all of them.
But you escalate now where the bar is, and I think that's what these people have to do. And I think the groups in Europe and everywhere else in the world that has issues with racist chants or things being thrown or fans running on the field, all that kind of nonsense, you escalate it. So you're setting a bar, and when people keep going beyond it, then you raise the bar in terms of the punishment. Because if you go heavy-handed to start with, how some people are. They're going to then want to fight against the man and all that kind of crap. When you're fighting for stupidity. So stop. We'll see what happens. But that's been announced. That's a step, and hopefully it'll be a good one. We got picks of the week to do because we were on good timing and everything, and then we get going on 5 different things, and now it's 9:00. That's what happens in soccer over there, Land.
Mm-hmm.
We're a little passionate about this stuff, if y'all haven't noticed.
Yes,
just
we have our moments, yes.
Just a little bit. All right. Picks of the week were 2 weeks ago. I did see earlier on in the Twitch pitch that people were trying to close out the tracking of results for 2021 and wanted to start fresh for 2022. I wonder why that's the case. You know what? I'm fine with that starting this week.
Wow.
No, it's going to be in the lifetime, but we're not going to talk about it every week. We'll talk about it at the end of the year and we'll compare. But no, everybody, y'all want to play? That's fine.
I have not.
I know.
I made no overture for this whatsoever.
I know. It's the young upstarts who are trying to start this nonsense. So, no, that's fine. We'll do that. We'll do that for 2022. I think technically this one would be the first one of 2022. But we're going to start it going forward now.
Jason,
so this is the last.
Let it be said.
What are your promos going to be like? Well, if you look at the Bucks, I mean, what are you going to say now, Jason?
You think I'm not going to be back where I am right now?
I'm just saying. Like, what are you going to be like? Well, if you look at the,
No, give me a couple months and I'll be back up way ahead of everybody. I'm not worried about it.
What if 2021 was the end of the Fergie era for Jason's Man U?
We're into the Moyes era now.
Always trying to find a way to diminish things around here. That's fine. I see how it is. So then to close out the 2021 era, and John didn't do good record keeping from anything before that. We don't know anything beyond that.
Okay.
It was 15 wins for me. Nick almost got to double
wildly
digits.
accurate.
9.5. He couldn't even add the things up correctly because we'd hear the totals he was giving and they weren't matching. That's not aperture. That's a whole year championship, D. Graham. That's not even true. It was a whole year. 15 wins for me. Nick with 9.5. John with 6.5. Jarrett was 6.
Jason is the Cosmos of third generation NASL.
No, it would have been the first. There's only 2 generations of NASL, Jarrett. What are you talking about?
I'm sorry. Okay, second generation. I'm sorry. I've lost track. Didn't they try a third one too?
No, they just are still, I think, somewhat alive in a legal sense right now. They haven't tried a third
in a legal sense.
Yes.
I mean, I think there's still lawyers fighting things for some reason.
The dude doesn't the dude who has the Cosmos trademark, doesn't he have a rented office space somewhere and something?
No, you're going back to 2010 and Pepe Pinton. Rocco Camiso owns the Cosmos.
He's just yelling about other things right now.
Well, he needs a new stadium. The other one's collapsing.
He put the Cosmos on ice. He bought them ahead of 2017 when they were broke, out of business, broke, dead, gone, players moving. Savarese's finding homes for everybody. And then Rocco buys them at the last minute, pisses everybody off in the league to the point where it basically shuts down after that. And then he doesn't even keep them going in the NPSL like they were doing. The Cosmos are back to being on ice again. Ugh. Rocco Camiso. You're thinking Pepe Benson from the Once in a Lifetime documentary in the 90s owning
the
the
Cosmos is an NFT. That's what's happening. Camiso's officially an NFT, bro.
Yeah.
Just wait until like he decides to pivot the Cosmos into Italy. Nick, let me know how that one's going to go when he turns it into. He changes the club name in Italy. Hey, we're the Cosmos now.
What? Florence would burn.
Yeah.
Florence would burn.
He's so pissed off he might actually
because
do
it's
it
a beautiful town.
There would be anything that had MediaCom on it would be handled.
Yeah,
it's a damn shame. It's a beautiful town. So I mean, please don't burn down Florence.
No,
there's a lot of very sad
city
people
on earth. Please don't do it.
They'll just burn down.
I don't know. My wife always said she always thought Siena was more beautiful, but not by much.
Oh no, I can't stand Siena.
They'll just burn down.
I appreciate your wife's opinion on that. It is a beautiful town, but.
All right, then we have one more final picks of the week before we start fresh. So, here's what happened 2 weeks ago. Tuesday, 2 weeks ago, Ulnai Stars were hosting the Kariobangi Sharks. Or Kariobangi, I don't know. I don't think we've agreed on this. Jared and John picked a draw. Incorrect. Everybody else picked the Sharks, and they were right at plus 180. Wednesday.
Like a Sharks fan.
Yes. Chelsea hosting Tottenham. John picked a draw. I know you're shocked. Everybody else except for the Twitch pitch picked Tottenham. Chelsea won. The Twitch pitch got it. They went to 480 on the board.
So Spursy.
John was minus 200.
Shocker.
Thursday, Copa del Rey, Rayo Majadahonda hosting Atletico Madrid. John and I picked the draw. Atleti won pretty handily.
Yeah.
At minus 400, so you won 125 on that one. But still, you won. You didn't lose 100. Friday, Manchester 62 hosted the Lincoln Red Imps in Gibraltar.
Let's go, Gibraltar.
Nick, for some reason, picked a draw. The final result was 7-0 to the Red Imps.
Woof.
Look, scared money don't make money, baby.
Just a bit off there.
True.
Scared money don't make money.
But just blame the anesthesia and be quiet.
Now, also, the Red Imps were minus 2,800 in this one, so you won like 104.
Yeah.
You didn't lose 100 like Nick did. Saturday, Eintracht Frankfurt hosted Borussia Dortmund. Eintracht Frankfurt went up 2-0. I had Eintracht Frankfurt to win at plus 250. They blew it.
Uh-huh.
They blew it.
That is true.
They absolutely blew it.
They did.
Blew it.
Uh-huh.
Who got it right?
They blew it. Everybody else picked Dortmund, so everybody else got it right. Blew it.
For some reason, Jason
blew it.
I like how when this happens, it's not Jason's fault.
Blew it. They had a 2-0 lead like in the 80th minute, Jerry. They blew it.
Yeah.
This is some big mid-2000s Schnitke energy. It's not my fault.
It is. It's not my fault. It's everyone else's fault.
Blew it. Blew it. All right, Sunday. Cameroon hosted Burkina Faso. It was the first game of the AFCON. Burkina Faso was picked by Nick. John picked the draw. Cameroon won. They were minus 125. So that gave John minus
Cameroon. Why would you pick against Cameroon and AFCON?
I don't know. Ask Nick. Ask John.
Because I had to pick for good reasons. I had to pick for good reasons.
Okay. Then there was the prop bet. Sorry. The prop was goals in Italy for the midweek match window that week. Well, there were 4 games postponed in that midweek window. And there were only 20 goals scored. So everybody went over the number. Nobody got the prop for the first time ever.
But what was it? Who was the closest though?
You were the closest, but you were over, so you don't get it.
By how much?
4. You had 24.
See?
Jackie Fresh.
but you don't get it.
Nope.
Why are you yelling Jackie Fresh? What?
Just didn't Jackie Fresh give the low number? That kind of encouragement.
I don't think so.
He's under 18. He can't gamble. So
Yeah, I think you're having like weird flashbacks. I have no idea what's going on.
this is that time you left your kid outside the casino in Biloxi, and it was kind of sketchy.
Yeah,
so you could go in and play the tables for a couple hours.
You don't ever want to do that again, Jared.
I don't think I need to be attacked here like this. Thank you.
No, I have no idea where the flashback.
You say
came
that
from.
like I wasn't the one who was left outside.
Anyway, so that meant because there was no prop winner, the last place winner was John, the only one minus in negatives, minus 96.
Way to finish.
Good job. Next was me at 264. If 264 is fourth, I'll take that. That's a pretty good week for everybody. Next was Nick at 305. Next was Jarrett at 409.
Wow.
The Twitch pitch, I think their highest total ever got to 1089.
Wow.
Go Twitch pitch. Well done.
1089.
Well
and
done.
that concludes the 2021 season with the Twitch pitch getting to 3.5. It came into the league late. That's pretty good. 6.5 each for John and Jarrett. Nick at 9.5. And I finished with 15 wins. But Twitch pitch, you got the final win for the season. Good job. Are you going to type some kind of a promo here? Or are you
There
just
needs to
going
be a
take
promo.
Yeah.
Jeez. It's like 57 of you guys making picks.
It's everyone else's fault but mine.
If you had watched that Eintracht Frankfurt game, they freaking blew it. I was watching it and so ready to talk so much trash to every single one of you. I was ready to show up at your house and talk trash.
It's because it's 90 minutes long, Jason, not 87 minutes
It's 90 minutes long, brother.
Hey, look, if the Germans
Dusty Rhodes don't know anything
finish
about
things,
Eintracht Frankfurt.
But I do know that the distance of a game is 90 minutes long.
90 minutes
That's
long.
what the clock going to say is that you get the 9000 with a colon in between. You get to that number. That's how long the game is, brother.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get
American
there first.
Dream.
John, have you heard of this thing called stoppage time?
Yeah, it's a good show. I hear this awesome guy from Philadelphia and this angry guy from South Atlanta who likes to talk smack to his friends.
Mm-hmm. Basically. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
Twitch
love it.
pitch.
This is only because everyone's secretly afraid of the guy from Philadelphia because he is, in fact, from Philadelphia. You don't cross people from Philadelphia.
I don't know if the Twitch pitch is like going to figure out anything about a. You didn't win it all dead again. You won 3.5. Come on, let's settle down here. Man, can we get a promo from the Twitch pitch?
They're cutting a promo. Let them cut a promo. It's like a
They-
WWE thing. They come
they-
out, they
they're
stare at
not
the crowd
cutting
for
a
45
promo.
minutes, then they cut their promo.
I agree with Katie.
Please crowdsource your promo by votes.
I agree with Katie that Timothy Chandler is to blame for this, playing for Eintracht Frankfurt. Blowing the freaking 2-0 lead.
Boom.
See, they're cutting a WWE promo. So it's going to be like a lot of pauses, very dramatic. And when I beat
What, the Germans came out of the gates hot and ran out of gas near the end? Never seen that one before.
They were playing another German team, Jarrett. That doesn't really work.
That hadn't stopped them either. Go look at the history books.
True.
Okay.
That is accurate.
Usually there's typing of a promo. That's what I'm waiting for. But
No,
Ricky just, I got it. I got it. There's been other things happening. Yes. Not much of a promo, the captain says, because he had to drive through Georgia roads today. But your 2022 preview just happened, according to Ricky.
Ooh.
Boom, he says.
Oh, wow. Well, there you go.
That's the promo?
That's the promo. That's all you get.
You saw a preview and that's it? Oh, man.
That's all you get.
The OVW of promos.
That is the OVW promos.
Good grief. All right.
I was
So-
expecting Harlem Heat, and I did not get Harlem Heat. I'm very,
No,
very sad.
nothing like
Sensational Sherry to
No.
be screaming as well. No,
No.
none of it.
No. All right. So Twitch pitch, you get Saturday and Sunday for picks this week. So start thinking ahead, start your planning, start your plotting. You do get a veto, and I am assuming Ricky gets it. Oh, Ricky, whenever I do promos like that, everybody yells at me. So don't, no.
No, we yell at Jason all the time for his boring promos.
You yell at me about boring promos or getting things right or getting things wrong or anything in this segment of the show because I pretty much whooped all of y'all all year. Anyway, well, I'm just saying the numbers speak for themselves. We're moving on to 2022. So everybody is at zeros to start a new year.
Zero.
Twitch pitch, y'all got Saturday and Sunday. Y'all have a veto. Ricky, you are the captain, and you have said veto power. Anyway, Ricky. As it usually goes around here during this segment, everybody gets mad when somebody wins all the time. Just like Pep Guardiola, everybody wants to yell at him and come up with all the blame and this and that, blah, 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 blah. And,
back to zero.
That's fine. That's fine. I always got to come up with something.
Whoa, we got a bad guy here.
That's how it's gone. Yes.
You're not that guy, bro.
That's how it's. You didn't even get to 10, Nick. You didn't even get to 10. You went weeks. We're going like 0 for 6.
Blame the surgery.
If I did not get cut open, you would have had so many problems.
No.
Let me go through a year without getting surgery. It's over for you characters.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Anyway. So Nick is the Ezekiel Barco. Got it.
That's fine. That's fine. All right, we're going to Tuesday.
Good, it's all over.
Yeah. Going to Tuesday, we got AFCON. We have final group stage games in Group B and C. It's not really the best of matchups.
Nope.
Malawi and Senegal, Zimbabwe and Guinea, Gabon and Morocco, Ghana and Comoros. We have Brighton hosting Chelsea in the Premier League.
Can we talk about how Algeria crashed out of AFCON?
They're not out yet. They're not out. Huh? They're not out. They're crashing, but they're not out.
Mm-hmm.
They're not out.
It's more of an active crashing than a crashed.
Yeah,
it's still a present participle.
They're in a bad spot, but they can get their way out of it.
But they're last in the group.
Yeah, but there's one more group game, and I think third place teams go through 2. Some of them do. Yeah. So not all of them, but some of them. And if they win, they get to 4. They should go through. So they still got to win. They got to win the toughest game of the group, and they haven't done well. Anyway, that's coming up later in the week. Brighton hosting Chelsea, Real Betis hosting Alaves, Cadiz hosting Espanyol. You know, this little game in Scotland, Aberdeen hosting Rangers tomorrow at 2:45.
Give me Malawi and Senegal.
I don't know why you're gonna bother watching that game. All it's gonna end up with is Aberdeen with the lead again, and then the Rangers getting a late penalty.
Nick did not go for that game. He's going for Malawi and Senegal. Yes?
That's what he said.
I'm waiting for the Twitch pitch to veto it, but go ahead.
Twitch, Ricky, I need a yes or a no, or if you're going to allow it. Malawi and Senegal. This is the very important part of the show where there's crowd participation. Veto!
Oh, veto.
Knew that was coming.
Veto. So now no more vetoes. Ricky has blown the veto on Tuesday. That might be a dangerous move, Ricky. I'll keep going. You have Aberdeen Rangers. You have Beşiktaş at Karagümrük in Turkey. You have the DFB Pokal in Germany. You have St. Pauli hosting Borussia Dortmund. That's interesting.
I'll go into the Scottish Premiership, but I won't pick Aberdeen and Rangers so we can watch it.
What?
Dundee United and St. Mirren.
So we can watch that one instead?
No, so we can enjoy Aberdeen and Rangers, yet the focus for these particular exercises will be on another match.
Okay. All right, Ricky. This is what you've subjected us to. Dundee United hosting St. Mirren. Jarrett, how long has Scotland been off before they came back today? 2 weeks?
I believe it was 3 weeks, 2 weeks, something like that.
3 weeks.
Long enough that it hurt me.
You okay after your squad won today?
Feeling good.
Okay.
New signing scored within like 4 minutes, right after Kevin Nisbet missed one of the worst misses you are ever going to see. I'll send it to y'all, and you can post it. I'll post it up in the Discord.
Oh, very nice. Dundee United is in 7th in the table, but they've lost their last 5. St. Mirren is 9th in the table, 3 draws and 2 losses in their last 5. Plus 163 for each of the teams. Dundee United plus 163, St. Mirren plus 163. The draw is plus 225. The last time these teams met was in September, early in the season. It was a scoreless draw. The time they met before that in May in the previous season, it was a scoreless draw. Dundee United hasn't won since November 20th when they beat Aberdeen, and there was a red card to each team in that one. They have scored 2 goals in 6 games. And, John, you want us to watch this game?
Want to watch Aberdeen and Rangers?
See, Twitch Pitch, you've learned a valuable lesson right now because you wanted to get revenge on me for doing the Thanos snap veto on you.
Mm-hmm.
You have now subjected all of us to this insanity. So in the future, much as I would counsel a younger child, please make sure that you use your vetoes sparingly.
I'm not digging further back, but St. Mirren hadn't won in their last 8. They've drawn 5 of them. In their last 8, St. Mirren has scored 1, 2, 3. 3 goals and 8. You've got one team that scored 2 and 6, and you got a team that scored 3 and 8.
Desperate for vengeance. This is what you have wrought upon us. Twitch Pitch.
This is the biggest pile of garbage I have ever seen in a game.
Unbelievable.
And I'm just going to throw this down right now because, John, you pick first. What are you going to pick?
Why did you even ask? No, of course not. Draw.
Ricky, Ricardo, we got issues, man. We got issues. I was next, and these two teams suck. Like, I'm sorry. They got 5 goals between them in like 1,600 minutes of action.
Yes.
It's unmitigated crap. It's going to be a scoreless draw, and we're all going to hate ourselves.
You used your ultimate weapon way too early.
All right,
and Ricky's trying to blame you, Nick.
Who was?
I didn't make you do.
It goes back to the Squirrel Club thing, like forever ago when you vetoed the Squirrel Club game.
I did. I vetoed the Squirrel Club via Thanos snap.
Yeah.
And their feelings were hurt, and so what happened is you used your ultimate weapon on a game that would have been very exciting, and instead have now allowed John the pathway to insanity. This right here, this is a Lovecraftian game. It is that level of horror and terror that we are going to be inflicting upon ourselves. The Call of Cthulhu has nothing on this game right here.
You twit.
Nick, what are you picking in this game?
Hell.
Yes.
Dante's seventh circle is what
I don't have odds on that.
Okay. Give me the numbers again as we've been.
It's crap. Both teams are plus 163. The draw's plus 225.
It's not even
like it's crap.
Oh my god. All right.
Why are you thinking so hard?
Garbage, crap.
Because it's that terrible. I'm trying to find a way, because to call a draw in this game is the right decision. It's the right gambling decision based upon the fact that these teams just give up goals. Apparently, like that's their gift to the universe. I'm going to pick Dundee United because I'm just generally against the entire spirit of this game.
Jarrett. Jarrett, pick something, please.
Just give me Dundee.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
See,
this is not the game.
And I'm going to be completely
I,
open about
you know
this.
what? I would like
so
to. I would like to be. I'd like to speak for a second on this.
Please,
That
please, please.
I subject
Please.
a lot of people to Scotland. I try and be selective about what parts of Scotland I subject them to.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're not subjecting anybody to
Like
this game, are you?
No, I try and subject you to Celtic or Rangers or Aberdeen, occasionally Dundee, not this Dundee, the other Dundee, because they will try and come out and play sometimes. Like I try and subject y'all to that.
Look, I'm just going to tell you that these two teams aren't even averaging a goal a game all season. Not even just the last 6 or 8.
Nope.
Dundee United scored 16 in 20 games.
0.8.
St. Mirren scored 18.
0.9.
Unmitigated garbage. Thank you, Twitch Pitch, Ricky. Thank you.
And here's the thing. I'm going to be completely open. I selected first because I knew you were going to use the veto because now I have the game I really want waiting.
Oh.
See?
Never go against a Sicilian when death is on the line.
Death is on the line. What?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Come on, Jason. You got to be with us on this one.
I know what it is.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Just saying, all y'all would have died last year over and over again. Anyway, Wednesday. We got Egypt and Sudan. We have Guinea-Bissau and Nigeria in the AFCON. We've got Leicester hosting Tottenham. We've got Brentford hosting Manchester United. We have Real Sociedad hosting Atleti in the Copa del Rey. We got Valencia hosting Sevilla in La Liga. We got León hosting Atlas in Liga MX. We got Lille hosting Lorient in Ligue 1. We've got Genk hosting Mechelen in Belgium. We've got more DFB Pokal action. Hanover hosting Mönchengladbach. Hoffenheim hosting Freiburg. Leipzig hosting Hansa Rostock. Hertha hosting Union Berlin. Ooh, that's intriguing. We got Coppa Italia, Sassuolo hosting Cagliari. We got Inter hosting Empoli. I don't think any of you are going to pick the English Championship now that John's used his pick. Thank you. That's the only good thing that came out of that.
Chess, not checkers.
Yeah, something like that.
Actually, I would just like
Please
to
don't.
ignore that ever existed.
Thank you. We have the Burundi Premier League with Bumamuru hosting Flambeau de l'Est. We haven't picked from the Burundi Premier League before. I was excited. Our team from the second division in Greece is... Oh, they are playing. They're hosting... AO Kavala is hosting AO Trikala. And AO Kavala's actually been able to sign some soccer players now, and they got 2 draws.
They're favored.
Well, yeah, they got 2 draws. They have actual soccer players now, and not kickboxers and basketball players playing in games and losing 7-0.
Yeah, I'll use my choice on that then.
You're picking from the Greek Super League 2 Group A, and there's actually odds on this.
Yeah.
All right, there's no opportunity to veto it, thanks to some people. AO Kavala hosting
AO Trikala.
AO Trikala. I'm guessing the AO is essentially like athletic organization of some sort.
That'd be my guess.
Like the FC or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kavala since January opened, and they've been able to actually sign some players because they weren't official to be able to register guys before. They've done okay. They've scored 2 goals. They've drawn 2 games. They had a bunch of games canceled before that, I'm assuming down to COVID situations, but their kickboxers and basketball players lost 7-0, 5-0, 7-0, 6-0, 7-0, 6-0, and 7-0.
Yeah. AO is like FC, basically.
Okay, thank you. Trikala. So in the table, it's going to be very skewed in this one because one team had basketball players. They had forfeits too because they didn't even have basketball players and kickboxers who could play. They've only played 9 games, Kavala. They've drawn the 2. They've lost 7. They have 2 goals scored all season, and they have conceded 47.
Yes.
Kickboxers don't play good defense. Trikala is in the middle of the table in 9th. There's 17 teams in the league because it's Greece, whatever. Cool. Trikala's 3-4-4. They've scored 1 goal per game. They've conceded 18. And the last time these teams met in a match was in January. Wait a minute. What? No, okay, that's not it. Sorry. It was in February of 2020, and it was a scoreless draw. And the time before that was a scoreless draw in 2019.
I sense a theme here tonight.
Yeah. Trikala hasn't played since the 13th, so not that long ago. Their game over the weekend was canceled. Trikala lost their last game 3-0. They won before that against a team that I'm not even going to try to pronounce. And they lost 5-0 before that. So they are all over the place. This Greek Super League 2 is ridiculous.
Yeah, Thesprotos.
The other one.
Thesprotos
Igoumenitasis.
Okay, because I only have Thesprotos in my group.
Yeah,
okay.
There's a whole bunch more.
Okay.
Jeez. Okay, the numbers on this one, as people are trying to figure out AO Kavala these days, they are plus 125, somehow favored. That's really weird. The draw is plus 200, and Trikala is plus 200. I don't know. Nick, you're picking first.
All right, I'm going to get some soup. I'll be right back.
God. I will, I'll take a draw.
Nick is picking a draw. Jarrett.
Can I? You know what? I'm going to support our kickboxers. I'll pick the win.
I hope at least one of the kickboxers earned a spot on the team. That'd be kind of cool. Bring him off the bench late, you know. I didn't notice any red cards for him, so I mean, at least they were well-behaved kickboxers. I definitely have to pick AO Kavala, and I will wait to get confirmation, but I'm assuming John is picking a draw. Just saying. Katie Weaver, my friend Matt, is from Trikala. Wow. It is a small world. Okay, let's go to Thursday. So, Nick, you have a game, and I have a game. And then the Twitch pitch has Saturday and Sunday. Thursday, we got Ivory Coast and Algeria. Ooh. We got Sierra Leone and Equatorial Guinea. We got Gambia and Tunisia. We got Mali and Mauritania. We have Getafe and Granada in La Liga. We have Elche hosting Real Madrid in Copa del Rey. We have Athletic Club hosting Barcelona in Copa del Rey. Very intriguing. We have Liga MX, San Luis hosting Juarez. We have the Colombian League back on Thursday. America de Cali hosting Envigado. We have Gummy Bear Cup second leg, Arsenal and Liverpool, after Arsenal made everybody angry after they got an early red card and shut everything down and got a scoreless draw. Second leg is in London. We got Coppa Italia, Roma hosting Lecce. Lecce second division now, Nick?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. John, did you pick a draw in the Kavala Trikala game?
Actually, no. I'm going to go with Trikala here.
Whoa!
Good grief.
Kumite.
Take the bigger number.
I hope the kickboxers come in and kick people in the head. We have the AFC Asian Cup on the women's side with China and Chinese Taipei. Really? We have India and Iran. We have the Cyprus Cup with Xylotimbu 2006. PO Xylotimbu hosting ALS Ammonia in the Cyprus Cup. The Egyptian League Cup. I hope Egypt doesn't have a Gummy Bear Cup. What would a Gummy Bear Cup be in Egypt?
Egyptian gummy bears. Let's see.
I don't know.
There's got to be an equivalent. I don't know. You guys know weird things. I just like to throw things at you sometimes.
Don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. They do have Future FC
Like
in Egypt, though.
cup? Like a scarab beetle?
That could be right.
A place called Gourmet Egypt sells Haribo, so it might be Haribo Gold Bears.
Oh, that's not cool. I hate this tournament then. Egypt has weird teams. They have Eastern Company SC.
There you go.
It's the sugar-free ones that it's going to be the sugar-free Haribo though. The ones
I've seen people talk about taking. I've seen people talk about eating those accidentally, and they tear your insides.
They shred. Up. Yeah, they shred your insides.
That's not good. Yeah, it was very disgusting and graphic what I read, and I made sure that if I ever wanted those, I didn't buy the sugar-free because oh my goodness. Egyptian teams playing. You have Pyramids FC, who I think we've heard of before and talked about. You have Future FC, and you have Eastern Company SC. All the games in Ethiopia were canceled. Sorry. We're really reaching here at this point. We don't do friendlies, so we're not picking Peru and Jamaica. The state leagues are going on in Brazil, if you want to get really weird. I'm assuming, Nick, you have a game on Friday that you're wanting to take. That's
Sunday.
why you're being quiet. Sunday, the Twitch pitch has. You don't get Sunday.
I'll get Sunday?
No.
Stupid.
No, the Twitch pitch has Saturday and Sunday.
Stupid.
Okay, because I thought you were waiting for a game on Friday. That's.
I was, but I can wait for Saturday.
No, so you got Saturday and Sunday.
We have Friday game.
How does Twitch Pitch get both of those things?
Because they won last week.
Who acknowledges this? I didn't acknowledge this.
Man, he gets his game vetoed, and now he's just completely lost his mind.
No, I'm good. Yeah, I can figure it out.
Okay, I'll give you Friday if you want Friday. That's fine. I'll pick something here. There's plenty of games to pick from.
Again, because we have full capability to pick anything we want now. That they, in such a cavalier fashion, tossed their power aside.
I am going to go to AFCON, and I'm going to take the game that we talked about a little bit earlier. Ivory Coast hosting Algeria, because this is a really interesting game.
Yes, it is.
Algeria has to win and get some help. A win should be enough to get in as a third place, but, I mean, there's some scenarios, I think, where they win and they don't even get to third. Algeria is a favorite. They are plus 140. The draw is plus 210. Ivory Coast is plus 225. So in the table right now, Algeria is in last. Ivory Coast has a win and a draw. They're on 4 points. Equatorial Guinea is in second with 3. Sierra Leone, who I'd love to see get through this thing, is in third on 2 points, and Algeria is in the bottom on 1. Games are at the same time. The Equatorial Guinea and Sierra Leone game is at the same time. History between these two, they haven't played since 2019. It was a 1-1 draw with Ivory Coast and Algeria. It went to penalties. It was in the AFCON tournament. They played in 2015. Ivory Coast won. It was a draw in 2013, and Algeria won in 2010. Very even matchup between these two. Coming into this, Algeria had, before they lost in the last game, they had not lost in 35 games.
Yeah.
They were approaching Italy's. That was a big talking point. They were approaching Italy's record. So.
And Ivory Coast, before the tournament, lost their last game coming into Cameroon in World Cup qualifying. Then they won over Equatorial Guinea 1-0, and they drew with Sierra Leone on one of the worst late goals you'll ever see. That thing was ridiculous, but Sierra Leone scored in stoppage time to make it 2-2. So, Jarrett, you are picking first in this one.
What were the numbers again? I'm sorry.
Ivory Coast 225, Algeria 140, draw 210.
Give me Cote d'Ivoire.
All right, and he's fancy with it.
Cote d'Ivoire.
Okay, John.
Draw. I think Ivory Coast tries to make it ugly to advance.
Was anybody surprised about what happened?
No.
I am going to go with Team Chaos and Algeria getting the win. Nick.
Pretty sure somewhere along my family line we go back to Algeria, that general vicinity. So I'm going Algeria, baby.
Okay.
I think they got the wake-up call.
Okay. Let me get off of that and let's go here. So, Nick, you are picking amongst Watford and Norwich, Espanyol and Real Betis, Eintracht Frankfurt and Arminia Bielefeld, Hellas Verona and Bologna, Mazatlan hosting Toluca.
Friday.
No, I didn't say it. No, I didn't say it. You can't do that. You broke the rules.
He just did it.
No, that's BS. I didn't say it. I didn't say it for a reason. I didn't say it intentionally. It's like you can't do that on television. Slime should be dumping down on your head right now.
Folks need to know what the day of the week is.
That's not how it works.
Can we just go over how disappointed I was that no one dumped slime on Jerry Jones last night?
Somebody should have.
That was really all I wanted.
Somebody should have.
Can you imagine that? You told some Nickelodeon employee,
That photo of him
you guys
in
gotta go
his
slime
suite.
Jerry.
That photo of him in his suite after
And him doing everything in his power to keep the slime out of his mint julep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, time to get slime, I suppose.
Jeez. Okay, what else we got on Friday? We got Puebla and Tijuana. We got.
I have a game.
What do you have?
We're going Serie B.
Okay.
Parma versus Frosinone.
Oh, okay.
Okay, give us a quick lesson on these two teams, Nick.
Parma is owned by the good gentleman who owns, if you're familiar with the Upper Midwest, the Come and Go convenience stores. He owns those. They also are the current team of one Mr. Gigi Buffon, who they were able to convince to come back as he desperately tries to get them back to Serie A. It ain't happening this year.
Nice.
And then you have Frosinone, who were pretty much walloped up in Serie A, dropped back down to Serie B, and where they are currently hanging out, everybody desperately trying to get up back to the big show.
So in the promotion situation in Italy, because I'm looking at the table right now, and there's a lot of different colors next to numbers on the left side, and there's a whole bunch of them.
Mm-hmm.
How many teams go up? 3?
3 teams go up, but you have a guaranteed go through, and I want to say you have 2.
It looks like 2 guaranteed.
2
okay.
And then I know there's a playoff to get the final spot in.
It looks like, and I'm not going to go double check it. It looks like 1 and 2 go up automatically.
Right.
3 and 4 get a bye in the first round of the playoff.
Right.
5 plays 8, 6 plays 7. The winners play 3 and 4, and then the winners of that play. It's a wild playoff scenario.
It's a knife fight.
I love it.
Look, really, and if there's any league where you can go down, like I think with the Premier League does probably the best with the parachute payments, that you have the best opportunity to yo-yo and come back up. In Italy, if you go down, it's not uncommon for teams to get relegated from Serie A and end up in Serie C or Serie C rather, and like the next season, because so quick.
The playoff the other way is weird too, because they've got 16 through 20 isolated with teams that drop, and Spal, for example, is just outside of the relegation spots.
Crotone's in it.
Crotone's in it. Parma's not far out of it, but Parma's also 6 points out of 8th, but they're 6 points out of being in 16th to be in that spot. So
yeah, it's a knife fight. It's
good grief.
The minute you get to City B, you have zero financial security at all, and it's very easy to watch your resources dry up to nothing. And this is the thing I was scared of when Parma was purchased by an American investor, because this is where the money suck comes in for team owners. If you don't have this as part of a planned investment period, like what you had with Venezia, this can go sideways very quickly for you. So
okay, I'm gonna make a statement that's probably gonna piss off a bunch of people, but if anybody from Italy embraces their promotion relegation situation and wants to say one word about MLS playoffs, I'm kicking you in a region that will probably get me in trouble. I'm gonna read this to you.
Please.
And I now know why there's Argentine and Italian links in soccer, because this is insanity. Okay. This is from Wikipedia, the bastion of journalism, but I don't think they have reason to make this even more ridiculous than it is.
Right.
At the end of the season, 3 teams are promoted to Serie A. 4 teams are relegated. Okay, that's already weird. The top 2 teams are automatically promoted, so we had that part right. If the third-placed team is 10 points or more ahead of the fourth-placed team, then it's automatically promoted.
Oh, wow.
So if they have a 10-point lead on fourth, then they go up automatically. You don't have a playoff tournament.
Mercy promotion.
It's kind of the opposite. It's promotion. I don't think there's any mercy about it.
Mercy.
Okay, if you have the playoff, then wait a minute. up to 3 rounds of the playoffs. Final 2 rounds are 2-legged ties. Wow. You might be playing games into July.
Yeah.
Opening round matches are single legs hosted by the higher team. The teams that get in, it's not exactly like 3 through 8. It's some kind of a margin from within 14 points of the third place team. So
it
might
promote who they want to promote.
They might have a like first round of the playoffs that are single legs. They might not if they don't have enough teams that are close enough. What? The higher classified team goes through if the teams are tied after the extra time. Okay, cool. Relegation zone, the 3 bottom teams go down. The 16th, if the 16th place team is 5 or more points ahead of the 17th place team, then the 17th place team becomes the 4th team to get demoted. Otherwise, they have a playoff that's more commonly called a play out.
Sounds like Germany almost.
And if you get relegated to Serie C,
no, that's between Germany's between the second division team playing the first division team for the spot. This is not that at all. This is like if the margin is a certain thing, then you might have certain teams in it. If not, then you don't. Mm-hmm. And it's a play out, not a play off. Wow. And it's like, what the blue hell's going on in the second division in Italy, Nick?
That.
Drugs.
Seriously. Parma's 6 points away from being in a playoff to go up. They're 6 points away from being in a playoff to go down.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Good. Yes. That's all I can say. Yes.
Yes.
All right, I don't feel bad about Argentina's weirdness anymore.
No.
Wow. Yeah, Germany's way simpler, Bert. You are correct.
No. Like Italy has it where it is the most convoluted, problematic way to get a team through to ensure that teams with resources to survive, not just your ability to win, that you didn't have just a good season, but you need to have the resources to survive.
It's stupid.
That's the only way to get through.
It's incredibly stupid.
When Venezia went on that run and they kept banging on that glass ceiling to get in and they kept falling short is because this convoluted playoff system did not do them any favors.
So you better finish in the automatic spots. Otherwise, you could be going through playoff hell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely.
Grief. All right. So Parma, even where they are in the table, they're hosting this thing. They're favored plus 130. The draw is plus 220. Frosinone is plus 180. They played in August. It was a 2-2 draw. Why is everything a draw this week? This sucks. Frosinone won their last game over Pisa, who could have Adam Buxa, according to some reports. Frosinone won 3-1 on the road in that one. They beat Spal 4. Spal sucks. They beat Spal 4-0. They lost to Monza.
Don't let Joe Tacopina hear that one.
Well, they suck. Parma beat Alessandria, who's a club I've never heard of in Italy. Beat them 2-0 last time out. They drew with Perugia. They drew with Ascoli, and they lost to Brescia, and they drew 2 games before that. So Parma hasn't exactly been lighting it up lately. But they do have Buffon. So, whatever. Who's up this time? It's back to John.
Draw.
Wow.
Is anybody surprised about what happened? Nope.
I will pick. Yes, the odds, Ricky, plus 130, Parma, draw 220, Frosinone, plus 180. I'm going to go with the Frosinone. I'm going to go with the road team on this one. I don't trust Parma anymore. I don't. Nick, what you picking?
Frosinone.
Now I'm afraid. Jarrett.
They scored 31 goals, only allowed 18.
I like that.
That's pretty good numbers.
I like that. Jarrett picks Parma. All right, Twitch Pitch. We're up to Saturday. This is the first of your games. I have not seen any firsts and seconds and thirds yet. So, Ricky, I don't know if you have back channels going, but on Saturday, you got Leeds and Newcastle. Oh, my God. What did you just do, Ricky? You have the Tanzanian Premier League, Tanzania Prisons versus Adam.
Adam's
Just-
outgunned already.
Just Adam against a prison team? This is what we're down to at this point. I can't wait for Sunday. Well, no, they're not
Flying
Adam. They're
Squirrel FC.
They're Asm. At least that's what I have here on SofaScore. What are you doing with Adam? Okay, Ricky, thank you. I was like, Adam.
D and the Z are close on the keyboard.
Fair enough, I guess. Asm plays tomorrow, first off. So then they're going to turn around and play again on Saturday. Asm plays Mbeya Kwanzaa tomorrow. And then Mbeya Kwanzaa turns around and plays again on the 21st. They have a crazy league. The Prisons, they don't play anytime before this game, so that might help them. They are in some form of a relegation situation.
Just tell you that I'm taking them on principle. Like,
well, they're not very good, Jarrett.
I don't care. Doesn't matter.
They're not very good.
I don't care.
The prison team you would think would be able to score 8 goals in 12. 8 goals in 12.
I'm taking the mean machine.
I'm just not so sure. Let's pull up anything else we might have on these teams. Of course, we don't have odds.
No, not yet.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's got odds on this one. Recent matches between them, I do have that. They played in February, and wouldn't you know, it was a scoreless draw. September of 20, Asm won, I guess, at the prison. I guess the prisons host games at the prison.
I hope they play at a stadium called the Prison.
I'm waiting for John to do his research on this.
Play in the yard, probably.
Uh-huh.
Prison yard.
Yeah, I know. I was just wondering if you knew anything else about the club. That's all. Thank you. Last time Asm played, they lost in the Mapinduzi Cup. I don't know if that's the equivalent of a Gummy Bear Cup in Tanzania or not, but they lost to our good friend Simba SC, who some of you people picked against, which was shocking. How could you pick against Simba?
Because I believe in wildebeest.
Oppressors.
Well, Simba won, so y'all were wrong. Simba has beaten.
Don't always win.
Well, Simba's beaten Asm the last 2 times they played. The last 2 games Asm played, they lost to Simba. They did beat Ruvu Shooting, though, which I don't even know if I want to know the story behind that one. The Prisons have lost 4 out of their last 5 games. The only team they beat was Kagera Sugar FC. They beat KMC, or they lost to KMC FC. That wasn't the guy who had the song How Bizarre, was it? That's OMC, my bad.
Yes, OMC.
They lost to Gaita Gold. They lost to the Young Africans, and they lost to Polisi Tanzania FC. I hope Sylvester Stallone is their goalkeeper, Katie. They might need to fire him because they're not really giving up a lot of goals. They're just not scoring any goals. Maybe he needs to play up top.
Shocking no one, Prisons FC is owned by the Tanzania Prison Service based in Mbeya.
That would make sense.
And their home games are played at Sokoine Stadium. They have won Premier League title in 1999 in Tanzania. And Sokoine Stadium is owned by the Chama Cha Mapinduzi political party.
Oh, that's good. Lord. Well, it's the prisons. I mean, I'm not really shocked.
Oh man, we are in black. We are in the blackest of Black Hawk down here territory.
Yeah. Well, this team sucks though. They're not very good. That's the problem here. You can think about your Black Hawk Down stuff, but they're losing all the time.
You're assuming that they're going to be trying to win games. They might be throwing games and betting against themselves. We might be getting a reverse Pete Rose.
Let's just pick the game. Let's just pick the game.
Nick's worried we're going to get tracked.
I'm not discussing politics and all that.
Nick, can we set up a prison team in Italy involving every? And it's just made up of Italian players that have been successfully accused of fixing matches.
I'll see what I can do. Make some phone calls.
Pick the game, Nick.
Azam.
Jarrett.
Prison.
Oh, supporting the prison industry. Jared.
Hold on. Let me make sure I'm ready for this. John?
I'm going with Adam.
Good grief.
That silence you hear is Jason rationalizing the fact that John didn't take a draw.
Yeah. on a game that he's flipping a coin on, basically. I'll take the draw. Why not? Just to be different. Okay, Sunday, Twitch pitch. Where are you taking us for this one? I can't wait. Sunday, what do we have potentially on the board? Chelsea and Tottenham, Palace and Liverpool, Arsenal and Burnley, allegedly. Leipzig and Wolfsburg. Oh, no, we have the Nigerian Professional Football League number. Okay, no, that's the teams. The Enugu Rangers hosting the Remo Stars. Ricky, is that what we're going with? Or are you just taking over and not putting this to the floor anymore as the captain? Bernd is offering.
A dictator.
I think he is. Bernd is actually offering a really good match in the Netherlands, PSV and Ajax. That's 1 versus 2.
There you go.
Katie is offering the Chelsea Tottenham match.
Oh, it's because Katie, we've had enough Spurs activity here where we have bet on them and they have let us down. We are not entering the Spursy prison of pain that you all have elected to put yourselves in.
Okay, we have a second for the Ajax PSV match.
All right.
We need a third. We do have the Nigerian Professional Football League match on the table, and we do have the Tottenham Chelsea match. All right, we got a third for Ajax and PSV.
Thank God.
I know, seriously. So, just to get you updated here, we've got in the table, PSV is 1 point clear of Ajax. It's one of the weirdest things. PSV has won 15. They've only drawn 1. They lost 3. Ajax has won 14. They've drawn 3. They've lost 2. Ajax has scored 59 goals this season in 19 games. They've conceded 4. 4 all season.
Crazy.
PSV's conceded 24, but they have a 1 point lead because they won one more game than Ajax. So, recent matches between these two, and this game is at PSV. That's probably important. However, in October, Ajax won at home 5-0 over PSV. In the Johan Cruyff Skal, is that the Gummy Bear Cup? That's a much better Gummy Bear representation with Cruyff involved. Or is that that's not the cup? I think the cup is the KNVB Becker. So in the Gummy Bear Cup, PSV won at Ajax in August 4-0. So, man, there's probably going to be some goals in this one at least. Last league game between these two, before that one was a 1-1 draw between them. PSV comes in winning 5 in a row in all competitions. They last lost to Real Sociedad in the Europa League. Ajax comes in having won 4 in a row in all competitions. They lost to AZ December 12th, 2-1 in the league. At home, by the way. That's weird. Okay, numbers on this game. PSV is the home dog by a lot, plus 240. Draw is plus 275. And Ajax is plus 100. The road favorite. John, what are you picking?
Ajax.
Okay.
And yes, the Cruyff Skal is the Dutch Super Cup.
Super Cup. So it's not the Gummy Bear Cup. It's the Super Cup. That's a completely different thing. Super Cups are more respected than Gummy Bear Cups in my book anyway.
It's the winner of the Eredivisie and the KNVB Cup.
Oh, why they did it at the end of the year. That's weird. Anyway. Jarrett, what are you picking?
I'm going to go with the John Nelson special and take the draw.
Oh, boy. These teams actually haven't drawn very much this season, so at least that's a good thing about it. Nick?
19 games, 59 goals forced, 4 goals allowed. Shout out to my homie Frank de Boer, Ajax.
Okay. I am picking PSV at home to win. I'll take it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the fan situation is right now, Burn, if they are having fans, period, right now. But this is a game, as Burn says, they don't usually have away fans. It's not very friendly. It's not very nice. Ricky wants the prop bet to be AFCON related. We can do that. So for the week, I'm trying to think. Why don't we do the number of games that don't play 90 minutes? No, why don't we do the number of cards issued in? It's kind of it falls in a weird spot in the tournament because the knockout round starts Sunday. So if we do something like that, it would be on
Group stage?
Well, no, I mean Sunday fits. It's just kind of awkward just the way it falls. But we'd have 4 games, then 2 games, then 2 more games, so that's 8, and then Sunday with 2 more, so that's 10. That'll work. It's 10 games. That's enough to do it. So cards in AFCON games for the week. So it'll be 2 knockout games on Sunday, the rest of the group stage. Cards in 10 AFCON games, and 2 of them are knockouts. John, you were last week.
27.
27 cards in 10 games. Okay. I'm next. I will go with 10 games. It could get kind of weird, but then it might not get weird. I'm going to go with 41. Nick.
37.
Jarrett.
19.
Okay.
No, but that's like betting $1 though. That's the dollar bet in Price is Right.
Yeah.
Because if it's 26 or
This is
below,
this is also the no blood, no foul might take over in some aspects.
It could. It could. I'm betting on the.
This could go 2 ways. My prediction is that I or Jason will win this.
Yeah, I'm betting more on the referees losing their minds, which we have already seen in this tournament.
we're getting heat stroke.
Yeah. All right. So allegedly, Ori might be he might is being investigated, and there might need to be some checks on his betting behaviors.
Yes,
possibly, maybe,
yes, maybe allegedly.
Maybe he was just high. I have no idea. Anyway, all right. We do have one thing left in the show. Well, we have 2 things left in the show. Which one do you want first, Nick? Do you want to end on a good thing that you like or a bad thing?
Well, come on, man.
you pick. You rolled your eyes.
Just get the bad thing, the stupid thing.
I think that's the good thing. I think that's the good thing to do. I think that's the right approach. I think that's always the safe bet. That means it's time for.
This dude is a nincompoop. Why are we still following this bum? He has his own.
Let's note that I'm actually going to have to leave because I'm not going to give you an Irish goodbye. I'm going to give you a proper goodbye.
Well, you have to do one thing first, Jarrett.
No,
are you ready?
What?
You have to wish Nicholas Bentner a happy birthday. It was Bentner's birthday yesterday.
Just hang up the phone, man. Just hang up.
Did he spend it?
I don't think he's in jail. No, he's not locked in a jail.
Well, that's a step in the right direction.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Bentner.
Wait, there might be. Maybe he is in a jail. No, they're writing about Bentner in Vietnam. I need some translation. It's just I don't know. They're just talking about his birthday. Oh. But the headline is great. Nick, you'll like this. This is from Vietnam, translated. Nicholas Bentner, the misunderstood mermaid of Danish football.
Okay, bye. You're not getting an Irish goodbye, and that's your gift.
Bye, Jerry.
Bye.
Mermaid, Nick. Your thoughts?
Yeah.
See, and here I thought he was signing with Ho Chi Minh City FC.
Look, they're
I was hoping.
yeah.
Mermaid.
There are times that I realize that we are talking, walking primates hurtling through the cosmos, orbiting an M-class star at insane speeds through a cosmic shooting gallery of toxic radiation and space debris, some many kilometers wide. And here we are talking about this moron and that somebody called him a mermaid.
They called it in Vietnam. They called him a mermaid.
Vietnam.
It was in the headline. They were wishing him a happy birthday, and they called him a mermaid. And he's misunderstood, too.
Yes, the misunderstood mermaid.
Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get you a Nicholas Bentner shirt, Nick.
Oh. See, now this coming from the man who's sporting his Almirante Brown shirt.
Yes, the Almirante Brown goalkeeper shirt that we talked about on the show not that long ago is here.
That's
that's Almirante Brown right there.
Man.
Wow.
This was a goalkeeper shirt that they did.
I love the whole nautical theme.
Oh, that's
like
epic.
the
Yeah.
shoulder
It's amazing. Yeah, the sleeves are
the
great.
service stripes are
Yeah, the Admiral sleeves. Yeah.
Super cool. Pibe de Barrio on social media. Make sure you are following them. They did these like kind of mystery boxes. They have stuff you can buy like this, like that was separate. And I didn't get this in a mystery box. That would have been amazing. But you can buy a mystery box. They do still have some in different sizes. I've gotten 2 of them. I got a Nueva Chicago shirt, which is pretty sweet. I got a Coco will be actually happy with this. I got a Lanús shirt, which is very cool. And some cool little like knickknacks and stuff. I got this awesome magnet of one of the greatest Diego Maradona pictures of all time. I mean, he's like in a mink coat and he's in front of a Christmas tree and he's got champagne. I mean, come on. Very, very cool. Hopefully we're going to try to do some more stuff with them. They're an awesome group out of the UK, but they sent stuff fast. Wasted no time in shipping this stuff out. So very, very cool. I love my Almirante Brown shirt.
Yeah, they're out of XX though.
I might have got the last one. Sorry. Okay. The fun thing that we're going to end with is where we are on the charts because we got some new places.
Uh-oh.
Brunei.
We are we're number 237 in Algeria. I guess I knew we were going to be talking about them this week.
What's up, Algeria? How we doing?
Yeah, 237 in the charts there. 193. These are the Apple Podcast sports charts, by the way. 193 in Honduras.
Hey.
All right.
Yeah, that's a new one, I think.
Yeah, it is.
We are back in the charts in Mongolia, up 5 spots to 161.
All praise to Great Khan. Ride the steps in victory.
We, in a new one, we have never been on the charts in this country. We are number 100 in Peru.
Ooh, what's up, Peru?
I think that's all down to David Mejia. That's where I think that's coming from.
That's true, yeah.
And in the top 50, number 48
Bhutan.
in the Apple Podcast Sports charts in Pakistan.
What's going on, Pakistan?
What's up?
Pakistan, how we doing?
Number 48 in the charts. Glad to see Peru on the chart, though. That's pretty cool.
Yes, very cool.
Very happy for that. All right, final words, John.
Oh, be good to each other. Be good to yourselves. And I will leave the rest of that paragraph to Nick as he usually signs off. But it's going to be a fun and crazy week. Just be safe, everybody. Glad you got out of last weekend with the avalanche of snow that happened in all of our yards. And it could happen again on Friday. So just be careful, folks. All-wheel drive. Very important.
Yeah. No show in the morning, not a normal show. I might try to get something posted in the morning that'll be on your podcatchers. Atlanta United starts training tomorrow, and they're doing a training session that will be completely available to the media, whole session. So I'm going to go and check that out and talk to folks afterwards. So we'll have some audio for you later in the day. And if we don't have any kind of like a normal show, I'm going to try to drop a couple things into your podcatchers tomorrow. That is the plan. So no show in the morning. When we do talk about it, I think Barcelona's done something else very weird involving their financials. That's very strange. I'll try to get more details on it. I'm not shocked at all. Nick, send us on.
All right. So As we all know, it's MLK Day here in the United States, day where we honor Martin Luther King Jr., and we're going to see a lot of pictures. We've already seen a lot of the civil rights, see a lot of quotes, some from folks who, I question, maybe they didn't pick the whole message up. I don't know. But look, there's one thing I want to point out really quick here is that when we talk about these conversations and we talk about these quotes and the civil rights movement, we constantly look at it through this lens that it was like way, way far back in the past. It was a long time ago. Oh, it was forever ago. No. One of the iconic civil rights photos to come out was a picture of a little girl in a darling little dress being escorted by 4 federal marshals out of a school in Louisiana. That was Ruby Bridges. She's only 67 years old, right? She was born a year before my mother, and I know my mother's going to hate the fact that her age is out there circling around, but it goes to tell you, I'm like 41, all right? My mom is not ancient. Ruby Bridges is not ancient. She had to go through all this stuff with people yelling and screaming and threatening to kill her as a young child. And this was not a long time ago. It was immediately right in the past. It's not a speed bump to just look over. Whenever we have these conversations and whenever we have these days like MLK Day, it's a reminder that the rights that everyone seems to enjoy here in the United States, it's not just something that was scribbled on a piece of paper some 200 plus years ago and just immediately put into action. Hell no, there was a lot of blood and spilled and tears and sweat that went into getting just to where we are now. It was not long ago. It was not in the far distant past. Ruby Bridges is on lecture circuits today, going around and talking to people about her experiences. And so if anybody wants to talk about how a little girl was greeted with threats of being poisoned and killed as she walked out of this school, that's something that should kind of weigh a little bit heavier when we have these conversations. Please keep in mind, be good to each other, be kind to each other. A lot of people are immediately going to anger when it comes to difficult conversations. Take time and listen to people. And nonviolence, and this is coming from someone who enjoyed the world of violence there for a little while, but I can tell you that it ain't the answer. You get a lot more done talking to people than you do shooting at people, and I can tell you that from experience. So by all means, please be good to each other. Do that. At least take small steps in the right direction. We'll get there. As long as we keep moving together. Till next time, everybody. Mucha, y'all.